Chapter 685. Tang Ao scanned the surroundings with his soul power. After confirming that there was no danger, Tang Ao threw out a pile of soul stones from his storage ring, then focused on recovering his power. Now that the most difficult part had passed, Tang Ao had to maintain his peak condition in order to explore the Shennong Emperor Palace. Tang Ao had a premonition that this Shennong Emperor was an existence that had surpassed the astral reaching realm. This kind of powerful existence, even if he had fallen, was not something that Tang Ao, a mere Sea of Souls realm warrior, could ignore. Tang Ao had two guesses before. These arrangements in the Shennong ruins had two purposes. The first goal was to select the most outstanding martial artist from the crowd to carry out the possession. After reaching the astral reaching realm, the warrior would be able to keep his soul intact even if his body was damaged. As long as there was a suitable target, he would be able to revive at any time. And what Tang Ao was facing right now was indeed an existence that had surpassed the astral reaching realm. Therefore, Tang Ao had no choice but to be cautious. The second purpose was that the Shennong Emperor really wanted to find an excellent inheritor. Therefore, he had set up a lot of tests to see if there was a warrior that could pass the tests and come to the Shennong Emperor Palace. Tang Ao hoped that the Shennong Emperor would set up the Shennong Emperor Palace for the second reason. This way, he would be considered a warrior that had passed the tests of the Shennong Emperor, and would be able to accept the inheritance of the Shennong Emperor. As for the inheritance of the Shennong Emperor, Tang Ao was not that desperate. The inheritance of a powerful warrior was nothing more than cultivation experience and martial arts. However, Tang Ao himself was the reincarnation of an astral-reaching realm level 9 warrior, and his martial art was the ancient god-moving sky art, a heaven-defying martial art. Therefore, before Tang Ao reached the peak of astral-reaching realm level 9, his cultivation experience would not be of use. As for cultivation techniques, Tang Ao believed that even a top-notch expert like the Shennong Emperor might not be able to match up to his ancient god-moving sky technique. When Tang Ao arrived at the Shennong Emperor's palace, a massacre was taking place on the snowfield. Against Chu Feiyu's group, warriors like Tang Ao and Murong Xiao, who had some tricks up their sleeves, were lucky to survive. However, for the other warriors on the snowfield, once they encountered Chu Feiyu's group, they would definitely die. The ones who were stopped by Wu Ku were Wenqim's group. Feng Ling was the girl who had been with Yan Yan not long ago. Back then, Yan Yan had been heavily injured by Mo Gu, and after he had fainted, Feng Ling had saved him. Feng Ling and the others were not very strong, almost all of them were at the third level of the spiritual ocean realm. This kind of strength was already at the lowest level in the current snowfield. However, after Yan Yan was injured last time, he also obtained some opportunities. Now that he had recovered, he was already a peak-level warrior of the 9th floor of Linghai Jing. Even though he had reached the peak of the 9th floor of Linghai Jing, he was still very nervous after being stopped by Wu Ku. If he wanted to, he could immediately use his escape technique to escape. However, Yan Yan knew that he could not escape. Once he did, Feng Ling and the others would die for sure. Just as Yan Yan was hesitating, Feng Ling suddenly yelled, "Brother Yan, don't worry about us. You should run. If you stay here, none of us will survive. Why not wait until you become stronger and take revenge for us?" Among this group of people, besides Feng Ling, Yan Yan did not want anyone else to die here. This was a group of kind-hearted warriors. However, Yan Yan also knew that he was not Wu Ku's opponent. Yan Yan was very regretful. He had obtained a broken jade stone, but before he could use it, he would die here today. Chapter 686. Inside the Shennong Emperor Palace, Tang Ao adjusted his breathing for 2 hours. After consuming tens of thousands of soul stones, Tang Ao's consumed soul power and spirit power had finally recovered. However, the essence blood that Tang Ao had consumed would not be able to recover in a short period of time. However, after recovering his yuan qi, Tang Ao's hair was no longer completely white. Instead, there were a few strands of black hair mixed within the white hair. Moreover, as Tang Ao's yuan qi recovered, the white hair also slowly turned black. Tang Ao did not care about the white hair. He had the jade bone life spirit. As long as he did not die, no matter how serious his injuries were, the jade bone life spirit would be able to save him. After recovering his strength, Tang Ao also walked towards the main hall of the Shennong Emperor Palace. As Tang Ao approached, Tang Ao felt a vast and distant pressure coming towards him. Feeling this pressure, Tang Ao's expression immediately changed. This kind of vast pressure made Tang Ao feel as if he was looking up at the vast starry sky, lamenting his own insignificance. Tang Ao was a 9th-level astral-reaching realm warrior in his previous life. Therefore, he naturally knew that this pressure had already surpassed the scope of astral-reaching realm warriors. Who dares to disturb this emperor's rest? Just as Tang Ao was feeling puzzled, an imposing voice came from the Shennong Emperor Palace. I am Tang Ao. This time, a friend has been poisoned by the golden-toothed snake emperor and is on the verge of death. Therefore, I have come to the Shennong Emperor Palace to find the Shennong grass to save her. There was no need to hide this matter, so Tang Ao said it directly. So, you are not here to accept the inheritance? When the Shennong Emperor said this, he was a bit angry. However, Tang Ao seemed as if he did not hear the Shennong Emperor's anger at all. Of course, if Senior insists on giving the inheritance to me, I can also accept it. Tang Ao's words almost caused the remnant soul that the Shennong Emperor had gathered with great difficulty to completely disperse. He was one of the top powerhouses in this world. For the sake of his inheritance, countless warriors flocked like ducks. But this brat in front of him, not only did he not come to the Shennong Emperor Palace to receive the inheritance, but he even insisted on giving it to him. He only accepted it conveniently. Humph, you talk big. I want to see what kind of ability you have. As soon as the Shennong Emperor finished speaking, Tang Ao was startled. Without any warning, a white light had already enveloped Tang Ao. Under this white light, Tang Ao felt that all his secrets were being seen through by the Shennong Emperor. At this moment, Tang Ao had already confirmed that this Shennong Emperor was indeed an existence that surpassed the astral-reaching realm. Yeah, the reincarnation of an astral-reaching realm martial artist, sky extreme eyes, hidden jade body in stone. Not bad, not bad. Oh, there's also the primordial sacred sky bow, and the 7-kill emperor's 7-kill divine Tao. So you have some skills, no wonder you are so arrogant. When the Shennong Emperor said these words indifferently, Tang Ao's heart was already in turmoil. Since Tang Ao started cultivating until now, this Shennong Emperor was the first person to see that he was an astral-reaching realm martial artist. You don't need to be surprised. The difference between our cultivation bases is too big. With this divine ability, I can naturally see through everything about you. Although the Shennong Emperor's tone was calm, Tang Ao could still hear the pride in his voice. May I ask if Senior's cultivation base has surpassed the astral-reaching realm? What is the realm after that? Are there any higher realms after that? Although he had already confirmed in his heart that the Shennong Emperor was a martial artist that had surpassed the astral-reaching realm, Tang Ao still couldn't help but ask. That's right. This old man's realm is the yin-yang realm above the astral-reaching realm. As for whether there is a higher realm after the yin-yang realm, naturally there is. However, it is useless for this old man to tell you now. In the future, when your cultivation base is high enough, you will naturally know. Hearing that there was a higher realm after the astral-reaching realm, Tang Ao hurriedly asked, Senior, in my previous life, after I cultivated to the peak of the astral-reaching realm level 9, why was I unable to break through to the yin-yang realm? Is it because of my talent? Chapter 687. Xian Wang World. This was the first time Tang Ao had heard someone refer to Xian Wang continent as Xian Wang World. Is the Xian Wang World Senior is talking about the current Xian Wang continent? The reason why Tang Ao asked this was because Tang Ao knew that this Shennong Emperor was a person who lived even longer than his previous life. Therefore, Tang Ao guessed that in ancient times the Xian Wang continent might have been called Xian Wang World. After Tang Ao asked this question, the Shennong Emperor suddenly laughed. However, this laughter seemed to be filled with vicissitudes and helplessness. The current Xian Wang continent is merely a fragment of the Xian Wang world. There are 35 other planes similar to the Xian Wang world, collectively known as the 36 world. Taoist Ming-Di is the realm lord of this Xian Wang world. As the Shennong Emperor spoke, he seemed to have sunk into a long memory. Tang Ao naturally wouldn't let the Shennong Emperor reminisce about the past. It wasn't easy for Tang Ao to meet an expert of the Shennong Emperor's level, so he naturally had to ask all the questions in his heart. The biggest regret of Tang Ao's previous life was that he couldn't surpass the peak of astral reaching realm in his entire life. Moreover, Tang Ao also didn't know the reason why he couldn't. Now that he had finally met someone who knew, Tang Ao naturally had to ask clearly. If this problem couldn't be solved, he would be stuck at the 9th level of astral reaching realm in this life, unable to climb any higher. The Xian Wang continent is only a fragment of the Xian Wang world? In that case, what's the difference between the Xian Wang world and the Xian Wang continent? Hearing this question, the Shennong Emperor, who wasn't far from Tang Ao, nodded. This is a good question. I'll also explain in detail. To be precise, the world we're in is called the True Martial World, which is divided into 36 worlds. The Xian Wang world was once one of them. Every world has its own world lord, and Dao brother Ming-Di was once the world lord of the Xian Wang world. After listening to the Shennong Emperor's words, Tang Ao secretly lamented in his heart. The Shennong Emperor had already said this once before. Tang Ao was really worried that this relic had existed for too long. Perhaps the spiritual sense left behind by the Shennong Emperor had already lost its mind. Fortunately, Tang Ao's worry soon disappeared. Because the Shennong Emperor said, as long as there is enough natural yuan power and a high-level martial art, no matter where you are, you will be able to reach the peak of astral reaching realm 9th level. However, in some broken worlds where the natural rules were not complete, one would not be able to break through the astral reaching realm and achieve yin and yang. The Xian Wang continent that you're in is just a fragment of the Xian Wang world. Naturally, the rules of the heaven and earth are incomplete. At this point, the Shennong Emperor sighed and continued, because of the incomplete rules of the heaven and earth, although you can feel the yin and yang realm qi, you will never be able to cross the threshold of the yin and yang realm. For the rest of your life, you will be stuck at the astral reaching realm. Hearing this, Tang Ao already understood why he couldn't break through the astral reaching realm. It was not because of him, but because the Xian Wang world had already been broken. In his previous life, Tang Ao could vaguely feel that something was missing in the heaven and earth. It was because of this missing something that caused him to be unable to break through this shackle after reaching the peak of astral reaching realm 9th level, no matter how hard he tried. Because of his previous life's limited knowledge, Tang Ao didn't know what he was missing. Only now did Tang Ao realize that what he was missing was the complete natural rules to comprehend the mysteries of the yin and yang realm. So, the two neighboring continents are also the remnants of the Xian Wang world? Chapter 688. It's not just the 3 continents. There's also the 5 elements demon realm next to the black-yellow continent. I'm not sure if it's part of the black-yellow world. Although Tang Ao didn't know what the black-yellow world was like in the past, Tang Ao was very familiar with the current black-yellow continent. Moreover, Tang Ao had met people from the Five Elements Demon Realm in the Netherworld Emperor Mystic Realm. After hearing Tang Ao's words, the Shenong Emperor chuckled. Back then, the Five Elements Demon Realm was stronger than the Black-Yellow World. However, because the Black-Yellow World and the Five Elements Demon Realm joined forces to deal with the Nether Frost World, the Nether Frost World suffered a great loss and the Five Elements Demon Realm was shattered like the Black-Yellow World. However, unlike the Black-Yellow World, the core of the Five Elements Demon Realm was preserved. The Five Elements Demon Realm that you guys are talking about now is only a part of the original Five Elements Demon Realm. After the Shenong Emperor said so much, Tang Ao had a new understanding of the big picture of this world. Senior Shenong, this junior is here to obtain Senior's Shenong grass. I wonder if this junior can accept the inheritance and obtain the Shenong grass? Originally, Tang Ao didn't know that the Shenong Emperor still had a remnant of his spiritual will here. According to Tang Ao's original idea, the Shenong grass was to be found in the Shenong Emperor's palace. Now that the Shenong Emperor still had a remnant of his spiritual will here, things would be much easier. The inscription on the first stage of the Shenong Emperor said that one could receive the inheritance after passing 3 stages and reaching the Shenong Emperor's palace. Now, Tang Ao was clearly the first person to pass the 3 stages and reach the Shenong Emperor's palace. There's no need to rush for my inheritance. I have 3 heritage sites and this is just one of them. Let me continue to tell you about the past of the Black-Yellow World. Tang Ao had a headache. This kind of thing only needed to understand the key reason, there was no need to go into details. However, the Shenong Emperor insisted on telling Tang Ao everything. Although the Shenong Emperor's spiritual will couldn't do anything to Tang Ao still listened patiently. Now that Tang Ao knew the reason why astral-reaching realm martial artists couldn't break through the Yin-Yang realm, he only needed to get the Shenong Emperor to get the Yin-Yang realm. However, Shenong Emperor didn't seem to have any intention of giving him the Shenong grass. Furthermore, Shenong Emperor said that he had 3 legacy ruins. Tang Ao started to suspect that the Shenong grass wasn't in this legacy ruin. After listening to the Shenong Emperor's words, Tang Ao understood that the Cold Realm was an evil place that used other martial artists' life force to cultivate. Although the cultivation method was evil, it was extremely powerful. After listening to Shenong Emperor's words, Tang Ao understood that the Nether Cold Realm was an extremely vicious place. It used the life force of other warriors to cultivate. Although the cultivation method was vicious, it was extremely strong. In the end, the Cold Realm was too powerful. Both the Five Elements Beast Realm and the Black-Yellow World were destroyed and removed from the 36 realms, becoming ordinary realms. In the end, the Nether Frost Realm was simply too strong. Even the 5 Elemental Demon Realm and Xian Wang Realm, which were against it, were destroyed. They were removed from the 36 worlds and turned into ordinary planes. However, the Cold Realm was too powerful. Both the 5 Elements Beast Realm and the Black-Yellow World were destroyed and removed from the 36 realms, becoming ordinary realms. At the same time, Tang Ao also knew that the snow field above was a space created by imitating the Cold Realm. Moreover, the creatures in the snow field were also from the Cold Realm. However, the Shenong Emperor considered that the martial artists who came for the trial were not very powerful. Therefore, the level of the creatures in the snow field was not very high. Moreover, the Shenong Emperor used some methods to seal some of his treasures in the bodies of the creatures in the Cold Realm. This was to encourage martial artists to kill the creatures. Chapter 689. The Shenong Emperor was waiting for Tang Ao to say this. The fact that Tang Ao could say such words showed that Tang Ao's character was not bad. If Tang Ao was an evil person, even though Emperor Shenong would still give him the inheritance, he would only give him a part of it. After all, even if he was an evil person, he would definitely be an outstanding talent of the Black-Yellow continent if he could come here. As long as he was from the Black-Yellow continent, he would definitely help when the Black-Yellow continent was in danger in the future. When the nest was overturned, there would be no eggs left intact. Therefore, after Tang Ao finished speaking, the Shennong Emperor waved his hand. The door of the Shennong Emperor Palace opened, and Tang Ao followed the Shennong Emperor Palace into the Shennong Emperor Palace. From the outside, the Shennong Emperor Palace was already magnificent enough. When they arrived inside the Shennong Emperor Palace, Tang Ao was even more amazed. In the current Black-Yellow continent, even the top sex halls could not be compared to the Shennong Emperor Palace. As soon as they entered the Shennong Emperor Palace, Tang Ao felt the extremely rich essence energy of heaven and earth. At the same time, a vast and profound feeling of vicissitudes hit him in the face. Tang Ao followed behind the Shennong Emperor Palace and came to an empty place. In this empty place, Tang Ao felt strange. According to the layout of the Shennong Emperor Palace, there should be something here. However, Tang Ao scanned it with his soul power several times, but he still did not see anything. Since he could not see it with his naked eyes and soul power, Tang Ao naturally activated his skypole eyes. As expected, after Tang Ao activated his skypole eyes, he found some jade boxes floating in the air. There were a total of 108 jade boxes, but there were powerful restrictions on them. Even the sky polarity eyes couldn't break the restrictions in a short period of time to see what was inside. This was the first time Tang Ao had encountered something that even Tang Ao couldn't see through since he had the sky polar eyes. Even the sky polarity eyes could not see through it. Other than the fact that the Shennong Emperor was extremely powerful, it could only mean that the treasure in the jade box was extraordinary. Otherwise, the Shennong Emperor would not have used such a method to seal these treasures. Just as Tang Ao was thinking about what was sealed in the jade box, a jade box flew in front of Tang Ao. This jade box contains the Shennong grass. The Shennong grass can cure all kinds of poisons in the world. It can cure diseases and save lives. After you obtain it, you must use it well. After the Shennong Emperor finished speaking, the restrictions on the jade box slowly disappeared. After the restrictions on the jade box disappeared, Tang Ao opened it easily. Right then, a green and transparent grass was lying quietly in the jade box. There was a warm aura coming from the grass, which made Tang Ao feel refreshed. Tang Ao had thought that the Shennong grass was a spirit medicine, but now Tang Ao knew that he was wrong. Not only was the Shennong grass not a medicine, it was a treasure. After getting the Shennong grass and knowing the reason why astral-reaching realm warriors could break through to the Yin-Yang realm, Tang Ao's trip could be said to be perfect. However, Tang Ao knew that there were still more than 100 jade boxes here, and the Shennong grass was only one of the treasures in one of them. Tang Ao was the first one to come down to receive the inheritance, so it was impossible for him to not have any thoughts. Tang Ao did not want to take all of the jade boxes here. He just wanted a few more. The Shennong Emperor seemed to know what Tang Ao was thinking, so he said lightly, "The rest of the things in the jade boxes are useless to you. Don't think about it anymore." After being seen through by the Shennong Emperor, Tang Ao was a bit embarrassed. However, the next words of the Shennong Emperor made Tang Ao very happy. "Since you have the acquired sky polarity eyes, we are somewhat related. I will now teach you the training method of the sky polarity eyes." Chapter 690. As Tang Ao was pondering, Shennong Emperor waved his hand, and a jade strip appeared in Tang Ao's hand. Then, Shennong Emperor pointed at a door, and a stone door in Shennong Emperor's palace slowly opened. "You stay in my training room and increase your cultivation base to the peak of the 9th floor of Linghai Jing. I have something to tell you." Although Shennong Emperor said it was an order, Tang Ao didn't have any other thoughts. Moreover, Tang Ao had received a great favor from Shennong Emperor. Right now, Shennong Emperor had even lent his training room to Tang Ao. Shennong Emperor was a martial artist who had surpassed the astral-reaching realm. His training room would certainly not be too bad. Tang Ao had wanted to increase his cultivation base for a long time, and this was truly a good thing. Therefore, Tang Ao didn't hesitate and stepped into Shennong Emperor's training room. After Tang Ao entered the training room, the stone door also slowly closed. However, Tang Ao wasn't worried, because the stone door also had a restriction to open it. The natural yuan power in Shennong Emperor's palace was already much denser than the one in 7 Kill Sect. Moreover, the natural yuan power in this training room was so dense that it had formed a spirit mist. Seeing such a dense spirit mist, Tang Ao's confidence soared. With such a cultivation treasure land, not to mention a mere 9th floor of Linghai Jing, it wouldn't be much of a problem for Tang Ao to cultivate to the life and death realm. In the training room Tang Ao had prepared, Tang Ao was still curious as he opened the Sky Polar Eyes cultivation jade strip. As Tang Ao's soul power seeped in, Tang Ao also understood the contents of the jade strip. The more Tang Ao read the contents, the more shocked he became. This was because this jade slip was not written by the Shennong Emperor, but by the first person who possessed the Sky Polar pupils. Moreover, Tang Ao also knew where the Sky Polar Eyes came from. It turned out that this Sky Polar Eyes wasn't something he was born with. Instead, it was cultivated through a great technique. The first person to possess the Sky Polar Eyes was in a similar situation as Tang Ao, losing both his eyes in battle. After losing his eyes, this person encountered a series of misfortunes. In the end, he pondered over the painful experience and cultivated a type of god eye in a heritage ruin. This god eye was also known as the Sky Polar Eyes. The celestial polarity pupils are actually cultivated. After reading the Jade Scroll, Tang Ao couldn't calm down for a long time. Tang Ao originally wanted to use the Jade Bone Life Soul to repair his eyes once it advanced to the next level. However, now that he had the cultivation Jade Scroll of the Sky Polar Eyes, Tang Ao also wanted to cultivate his own Sky Polar Eyes. After going through the cultivation technique several times, Tang Ao took out a jade box and sat on the ground calmly. The Jade Bone Life Soul kept surging out of Tang Ao's body. Then, under Tang Ao's control, the pale green light spot of the Jade Bone Life Soul came to Tang Ao's eyes. As the Jade Bone Life Soul seeped in, Tang Ao's eyes were slowly taken out by the Jade Bone Life Soul and placed into the jade box that Tang Ao had prepared beforehand. After wrapping the eyes with the Jade Bone Life Soul and placing them into the jade box, Tang Ao quickly set up several restrictions on the jade box and sealed it. This pair of Sky Polar Eyes was transplanted to him by Su Ning. Now that he had obtained the Shennong grass, he could go back and save Su Ning. Therefore, the Sky Polar Eyes naturally had to be returned to Su Ning. Moreover, now that Tang Ao had the cultivation method of the Sky Polar Eyes, according to the creator of the Sky Polar Eyes, as long as he had the hidden jade in stone body, there was a 90% chance of cultivating the Sky Polar Eyes. Chapter 691. At that moment, Tang Ao was following the Heavenly Extreme Eyes cultivation technique's qi circulation cycle. Tang Ao was constantly absorbing the spirit qi that was as dense as a fei. Due to Tang Ao's guidance, the spirit qi from all directions surged over. The spirit qi was like a whirlpool that spiraled around Tang Ao and surged into Tang Ao's body. Although the spirit qi was surging, it was immediately refined by the ancient god-moving sky technique once it entered Tang Ao's body. At that moment, Tang Ao was like a millstone, and the surrounding heaven and earth essence energy was like beans that were constantly being added into the millstone. Even if the beans were surging, they would still be crushed by the millstone. Tang Ao was constantly absorbing and refining the heaven and earth essence energy from the outside world. After completing a qi circulation in his body, the essence energy would extract a few traces of blood qi from Tang Ao's body and gather in Tang Ao's eyes. As the blood qi gathered, Tang Ao's eyes would constantly emit a warm and refreshing feeling. Furthermore, Tang Ao had an illusion that something was about to be born. As Tang Ao continued to complete the qi circulation, the feeling became increasingly intense. After Tang Ao completed 360 circulatory cycles, 2 cracking sounds could be heard. The sound didn't seem to be heard by the ears, but it truly existed. Subsequently, Tang Ao's eyes abruptly opened, and 2 green rays shot out. When he saw the scene in front of him, Tang Ao was greatly shocked. This was because everything above the snowfield could be seen clearly through Tang Ao's heavenly extreme eyes. At that moment, Tang Ao even saw Chu Feiyu and the others massacring the warriors on the snowfield. Tang Ao really wanted to go and kill Chu Feiyu and the others. However, Tang Ao's current strength was clearly insufficient. In addition to Chu Feiyu and the others, Tang Ao also saw Xia Qianyu. At this moment, Xia Qianyu was cultivating with her eyes closed. It was unknown if Xia Qianyu sensed that he was looking at her, but she looked in his direction with a puzzled expression. Tang Ao wanted to see what Xia Qianyu was doing, but he suddenly felt dizzy. Feeling the dizziness, Tang Ao hurriedly retracted his sky polar eyes. Now, Tang Ao's sky polarity pupils were cultivated by himself. Moreover, compared to Su Ning's sky polar pupil, the sky polar pupil that he had cultivated was more powerful. Su Ning's sky polar pupil could not see more than 300 feet in the snowfield at all. Moreover, the further down he looked, the shorter the distance became. However, now that Tang Ao was underground in the snowfield, he could see through the entire layer of snow and directly above the snowfield. In his excitement, Tang Ao hurriedly retracted his sky polar pupil and seized the time to cultivate. Now, Tang Ao was no longer interested in the other jade boxes in the Shennong Emperor's palace. This was because when Tang Ao took a look at them just now, he really could not use any of the items in the jade boxes. Originally, when he used Su Ning's sky polar pupil, Tang Ao could not clearly see what was in the jade boxes. However, after Tang Ao cultivated his sky polar pupil, Tang Ao could clearly see the items in the jade boxes. These jade boxes were also a type of spatial treasure. Although the jade boxes were only the size of a palm, there was a 6-foot square space inside. There were cultivation techniques, weapons, various martial techniques, elixirs, and some other treasures in the jade boxes. Even for Tang Ao, each of these items was a priceless treasure. However, now that Tang Ao had better items on him, these items were naturally dispensable. Chapter 692. As for the rest of the treasures in the jade box, Tang Ao did not need any of them. After looking through all the treasures in the jade box, Tang Ao had another question in his mind. He was wondering where these 100 jade boxes were floating. However, the Shennong grass given by the Shennong Emperor was obviously not on the same level as those treasures. The other 100 jade boxes were not as valuable as the Shennong grass. After thinking for a while, Tang Ao did not have any clue, so he stopped thinking about it. The most important thing now was to increase his cultivation to the life and death realm. Even if he could not break through to the life and death realm, he had to cultivate to the 9th floor of Linghai Jing. As long as he cultivated to the 9th floor of Linghai Jing, he would have the means to deal with Chu Feiyu and the others. Now, the difference in cultivation between Tang Ao and Chu Feiyu and the others was too big. Even if Tang Ao fought to the death, it was unlikely that he could kill Chu Feiyu and the others. On the contrary, the possibility of him dying was quite high. Moreover, the Shennong Emperor had just said that he had to quickly cultivate to the peak of the 9th floor of Linghai Jing, or even the life and death realm. He had something to tell him. Although Tang Ao did not know what the Shennong Emperor had to tell him, Tang Ao thought that it was definitely not something good. When Tang Ao entered the Shennong Emperor Palace, he received a lot of favors from the Shennong Emperor. If the Shennong Emperor did not have anything to ask Tang Ao to do for him, Tang Ao would really feel bad. Whether it was the treasure Shinong grass or the cultivation method of the sky polar eyes, once it was spread to the outside world, the warriors in the black-yellow continent would probably go crazy. Even if one did not have the hidden jade in stone body, there would still be countless warriors who wanted to cultivate the sky polar eyes. Moreover, the creator of the sky polar eyes, Su Daoling, also said that having the hidden jade in stone body would only increase the probability of cultivating the sky polar eyes. In other words, even if one did not have the hidden jade in stone body, one could still cultivate the sky polar eyes. However, there was a prerequisite to cultivating the sky polar pupils, and that was to remove both of his eyes. Although this condition was a little harsh, there were still countless people who were willing to remove their eyes for a godly eye like the sky polar pupils. Moreover, not everyone in the black-yellow continent was so noble that they would not attack others even if they were blind. Tang Ao was certain that if a martial artist failed to cultivate the sky polar pupils, they would immediately capture an innocent person and transplant their eyes to themselves. Thinking of this, Tang Ao carefully sealed the cultivation jade slip of heavenly polar eyes. Tang Ao had already decided that if he had the ability in the future, he would definitely modify the cultivation method of the sky polar eyes so that he would be able to cultivate the sky polar eyes even if he still had both of his eyes. If Tang Ao didn't have the ability to do so, the cultivation jade slip for the heavenly polar eyes would remain sealed. Moreover, the method Tang Ao used to seal the sky polar pupil cultivation jade slip was unusual. It was a life soul imprint. This kind of seal had a special characteristic. If the martial artist who placed the seal didn't die, then the seal would be extremely difficult to remove. Once the martial artist who placed the seal died, the cultivation jade slip would be instantly burned. After sealing the jade slip, Tang Ao took out a jade box and put the jade slip inside. At the same time, he placed several restrictions on the jade box. After doing all this, Tang Ao then began to cultivate. In the main hall of the Farmer God Palace, the Shenong Emperor's spiritual force also nodded in satisfaction. He had seen everything that Tang Ao had done. The Shenong Emperor was also very satisfied with Tang Ao's talent. Chapter 693. While Tang Ao was cultivating in the Shenong Emperor's palace, the snowfield did not calm down. At the moment, many corpses of warriors were lying on the snowfield. Up until now, half of the martial artists who entered this snowfield had already perished. Most of the warriors who were still alive had fled into the snowfield like Tang Ao. The warriors from the black-yellow continent had resisted for a while in front of Chu Feiyu and the others. However, after Fang Hongjian, who was on the 9th floor of Linghai Jing, was severely injured by Mo Gu, the warriors from the black-yellow continent knew that Chu Feiyu and the others were all life and death realm warriors. 150 feet underground in the snowfield, Fang Hongjian's spiritual power was in a mess. He had yet to recover from the battle with Mo Gu from the Tianyang continent 3 days ago. At the moment, Murong Xiao, Fang Hongjian, Shi Hongyi, whom Tang Ao had met before, Lin Yuten, who had traded with Tang Ao, and Yen Yen, who had the hidden jade in stone physique like Tang Ao, were all here. In addition to Murong Xiao and the others, many warriors who had survived in the snowfield were also here. Right now, everyone was looking at Murong Xiao. Out of everyone present, Murong Xiao's cultivation base was the strongest. Not long ago, Murong Xiao had hidden in a snow cave under the snowfield and used some methods to break through to the life and death realm. Seeing that Murong Xiao and the others were silent, a warrior got up and said to Murong Xiao, "Senior brother Murong, your cultivation is the highest here. Tell us how to deal with the 5 bastards from the Tianyang continent. We will all listen to you." Murong Xiao frowned when he heard the warrior's words. "Are you sure there are no more people from the black-yellow continent in the snowfield?" A moment ago, Murong Xiao had already looked around carefully. Tang Ao and Xia Qianyu were nowhere to be found among the 100 or so surviving cultivators. Others might not know, but Murong Xiao knew that Tang Ao and Xia Qianyu had treasures on them. Half a month ago, his spiritual treasure disc had tested a 9th-grade magic weapon. Murong Xiao suspected that the 9th-grade magic weapon was in Tang Ao's possession. In addition to the 9th-grade divine weapon, Murong Xiao also knew that Xia Qianyu had an 8th-grade divine weapon, and this 8th-grade divine weapon was the treasure of the Taiqing sect, Taiqing Xian Mirror. If it was said that Murong Xiao could only snatch the Supreme Purity Mysterious Mirror in secret before, now Murong Xiao could openly ask for it. When everyone heard Murong Xiao's question, their hearts warmed. Even now, Murong Xiao was still worried about the warriors on the snowfield. This was enough to show Murong Xiao's benevolence and righteousness. Senior fellow apprentice Murong Xiao, there are no living warriors on the snowfield now. When I woke up, there were no living people around, so I was the last warrior to come down to the snowfield. When Murong Xiao heard this warrior's words, he was very disappointed. The reason why Murong Xiao asked everyone was to know the whereabouts of Tang Ao and Xia Qianyu. So, no one has seen Tang Ao and Xia Qianyu? If it weren't for Taiqing Xian Mirror and Tang Ao's 9th-grade divine weapon being too attractive, Murong Xiao would not ask such a stupid question anyway. Now that Murong Xiao asked this question, it meant that Murong Xiao wanted Taiqing Xian Mirror and Tang Ao's 9th-grade divine weapon. After all, by now, Xia Qianyu's Taiqing Xian Mirror and Tang Ao's 9th-grade divine weapon were already public secret. As soon as Murong Xiao said this, everyone knew what he was planning. Even Fang Hongjian and the others glanced at Murong Xiao. Right now, Murong Xiao was stronger than them, but there was a limit to how much stronger he was. It was obviously not so easy for Murong Xiao to keep the two divine weapons alone. Chapter 694. At this moment, Tang Ao had been cultivating in Shenong Emperor's palace for half a month. In this half a month, Tang Ao's cultivation base had been rising rapidly every second. If it were not for other things, Tang Ao really wanted to cultivate until he reached the astral reaching realm. However, Tang Ao also knew that although the spirit chi here could allow him to cultivate until the astral reaching realm, it would be impossible for him to do so without 5,000 years. If Tang Ao really cultivated here for 5,000 years, then he would not need to take the Shenong grass to save Su Ning. Moreover, Tang Ao could vaguely feel that the spirit chi in the surroundings seemed to be weakening. Although it was very subtle, Tang Ao had been cultivating here for half a month, so he could still feel it. Therefore, Tang Ao guessed that because of the long time this training room had been here, it had already started to be damaged. At the same time that Tang Ao sensed the abnormality, Shenong Emperor also slightly frowned. The training room Tang Ao was using right now was a magical weapon that he had crafted many years ago. If he had not fallen, then he would have been able to repair this magical weapon. Right now, he only had a strand of spirit sense left, and this strand of spirit sense was about to dissipate. Therefore, he naturally could not repair this training room. Tang Ao had the hidden jade body just like him. Moreover, Tang Ao could come to Shenong Emperor's palace without the help of the immortal dark flame. This meant that not only was Tang Ao powerful, but his luck was also amazing. Therefore, Shenong Emperor really wanted to pass his inheritance to Tang Ao. However, he had overestimated the inheritor's cultivation base. In Shenong Emperor's opinion, to be able to come to this place, one would at least be a first-level life and death realm warrior. However, what Shenong Emperor had never expected was that Tang Ao had actually burned his essence blood to come to Shenong Emperor's palace on the 5th floor of Linghai Jing. Although Tang Ao's cultivation was somewhat low, the Shenong Emperor believed that Tang Ao had great potential. Although he had used some tricks to get here on the 5th floor of Linghai Jing, it was still a good result. If Tang Ao had come a few hundred years earlier, he could have opened the inheritance and directly given it to Tang Ao. But now, he no longer has the ability to open his inheritance. Therefore, he decided to let Tang Ao cultivate in his own cultivation room. However, the Shennong Emperor didn't consider that his training room was about to collapse after such a long time. Sensing the faintly discernible cracks around him, Tang Ao frowned slightly. He had been cultivating in the cultivation room for a total of 29 days, and his cultivation base had reached the peak of the 9th floor of Linghai Jing. Tang Ao knew that as long as he had half a day, he would be able to break through the Sea of Souls realm and reach the life and death realm. However, right now, Tang Ao knew that he didn't have half a day to cultivate. A golden light flickered on Tang Ao's body, and Tang Ao rushed out of the Shennong Emperor's cultivation room. Shennong Emperor, your cultivation room is not good. Tang Ao looked at the cultivation room that had turned into ruins behind him and said somewhat helplessly. The Shennong Emperor looked at Tang Ao with satisfaction. Kid, not bad. In a short 29 days, you've cultivated from the 5th floor of Linghai Jing to the peak of the 9th floor of Linghai Jing. Although you haven't reached the life and death realm, it's still not bad. If this old man hadn't fallen for so many years, this cultivation room would have no problem supporting you until the astral reaching realm. Regarding the Shennong Emperor's words, Tang Ao didn't doubt them at all. Tang Ao had cultivated in the cultivation room for so long, so he naturally knew the extraordinariness of this cultivation room. If there were no problems with this cultivation room, Tang Ao would have a high chance of cultivating to the astral reaching realm. However, even if he could cultivate to the astral reaching realm, Tang Ao wouldn't cultivate there. Chapter 695. As for how to leave the snowfield, Tang Ao really did not have any ideas. Even if Tang Ao could enter the Shennong Emperor Palace, Tang Ao did not think that he could leave the snowfield in a short period of time. Although if Tang Ao kept training until he reached the peak of astral reaching realm level 9, he would definitely be able to tear open the space of the snowfield and leave. But right now what Tang Ao lacked the most was time. Therefore, Tang Ao had to leave the snowfield as soon as possible. This Shennong ruins was set up by the Shennong Emperor. If he wanted to leave the snowfield, he would naturally have to ask the Shennong Emperor. After hearing Tang Ao's question, the Shennong Emperor smiled faintly and said, "Originally, I set up 3 trials. The first trial, the Life Forest, requires one to refine 108 strands of life aura before they can be considered to have passed. Without refining 108 strands of life chi, trying to pass the trial is just asking for trouble." Hearing the Shennong Emperor's words, Tang Ao really wanted to say that he had refined 108 strands of life chi. However, Tang Ao hesitated for a bit and did not say it, because Tang Ao knew that the Shennong Emperor must have something else to say. Indeed, the Shennong Emperor quickly continued, "The second trial is a treasure of mine, called the Spirit Tower. 1 strand of life chi can allow one to go up 1 floor of the tower. If one can go up 108 floors, not only can one break through to the life and death realm, but one can also obtain the immortal dark flame." Hearing about the immortal dark flame, Tang Ao was shocked. If not going to the Spirit Tower only meant losing a bit of cultivation opportunity, Tang Ao could still accept it. But if the 108 floors of the tower had the immortal dark flame, then Tang Ao's loss would be huge. Among all the warriors, only Tang Ao had refined 108 strands of life chi. In other words, the immortal dark flame was given to Tang Ao for free. In the end, Tang Ao directly skipped the second trial and came to the third one, which was very annoying. Tang Ao had decided to come to the Shennong ruins again after sending the Shennong grass away. Putting everything else aside, the immortal nether flame was ranked 7th among the divine flames. Since he had encountered it, Tang Ao naturally would not miss it. Although the immortal nether flame was ranked 7th, as far as Tang Ao knew, the top 10 flames weren't separated by rank. Even if one flame was slightly stronger, it wasn't by much. As Tang Ao was pondering this, the Shenong Emperor continued, "The reason I left the immortal dark flame in the spirit pagoda was so that the cultivators who obtained it could use the immortal dark flame to melt the 5,000 feet of ice and snow. I didn't expect that not only do you not have the immortal dark flame, but you also don't have a flame of the same level. You only relied on the extreme cold barrier to burn your blood essence to rush down. Not bad, not bad." Although being praised by an ancient powerhouse like the Shenong Emperor was something to be proud of, if Tang Ao had known that the immortal dark flame was at the top of the spirit pagoda, Tang Ao would definitely have obtained the immortal dark flame. With the immortal dark flame, it was much easier for Tang Ao to deal with Wu Ku. As long as Tang Ao used the sky polar eyes to freeze Wu Ku and then summoned the immortal dark flame, the battle would be over. However, Tang Ao still didn't say anything because Tang Ao had just asked how to leave the snowfield. Until now, the Shenong Emperor had said a lot, but he still hadn't said how to leave the snowfield. Tang Ao was worried that the Shenong Emperor's divine sense had been in a trance for a long time, so he asked again, "Senior Shenong, my junior sister was injured by the Golden Fong Snake Lord, and I urgently need the Shenong grass to cure the poison. Senior, please tell me how to leave the snowfield." Don't worry. I've said so much, so naturally, I want to tell you how to leave the snowfield. In other words, even if I don't say it, you already know how to leave the snowfield. Chapter 696. Tang Ao's expression was a bit unsightly, but he still asked with a bit of hope, "Senior Shenong, what is the way to leave this snowfield?" "Train to the astral reaching realm and break through the space barrier of the snowfield." The Shenong Emperor did not hide anything, since this was also his original intention. According to the Shenong Emperor's plan, the martial artist who came to inherit his heritage would be able to break through to the life and death realm in the Spirit Tower. Then, with the help of the training room in the Shenong Emperor's palace, he would be able to become an astral-reaching realm martial artist in one go. After becoming an astral-reaching realm martial artist, one would naturally be able to break through the space barrier of the snowfield and leave. However, man proposes, God disposes. The Shenong Emperor would never have thought that because Tang Ao had the map of the Shenong ruins, Tang Ao did not even need to go through the second level, the Spirit Tower, and directly came to the third level, the ice snow field. Moreover, the Shenong Emperor had also overestimated the usage of the training room in the Shenong Emperor's palace. After his fall, the Shenong Emperor's palace had become this unstable. After hearing the Shenong Emperor's words, Tang Ao weakly leaned against the wall. At this moment, Su Ning's pure and cute appearance flashed in front of his eyes. Also, when Su Ning was sealed in ice, she asked Lu Lingxian to transplant her sky polar eyes to him. Tang Ao also remembered. After arriving at the Shenong ruins, Tang Ao did not waste even a second, because he wanted to get the Shenong grass as soon as possible to save Su Ning. Right now, Tang Ao had already gotten the Shenong grass, but Tang Ao was trapped in the snowfield. Right now, Tang Ao only had the cultivation of the 9th floor of Linghai Jing, which was still a long way from the astral reaching realm. Even if the training room in the Shenong Emperor's palace was not damaged, Tang Ao felt that it would take him 1,000 years to break through to the astral reaching realm. While Tang Ao was hesitating, the Shenong Emperor suddenly had an idea. The Shenong Emperor had sensed the aura of the phantom ice python on Tang Ao. "Young friend Tang Ao, do you have an ethereal frost python as your pet beast?" Tang Ao did not know why the Shenong Emperor would ask such a question, but he still summoned the frost blood snake's soul with a wave of his hand. "I thought it was a frost blood snake. I didn't expect it to be a phantom frost python. May I know what's so special about this phantom ice python?" Shenong Emperor stroked his beard. "Back then, this old man killed Empress Yulong of the Frost Ghost Dragon race in this Shenong Emperor Palace. As long as this ice ghost python can inherit Empress Yulong's inheritance, it can obtain a strand of Emperor Yulong's nether dragon chi. Emperor Yulong's nether dragon chi. What is that? Tang Ao knew about the frost ghost dragon, but Tang Ao had never heard of Emperor Yulong and Emperor Yulong's chi. The Shenong Emperor and Emperor Yulong had fought for many years, so he obviously knew the latter very well. What the Emperor Yulong's chi is not important. What's important is that although this Emperor Yulong's chi can only be used once, it is enough to break the barrier of the snowfield and allow you to leave. Tang Ao was shocked. With the sturdiness of this snowfield, even an astral-reaching martial artist would need to use all his strength to break the space barrier. However, who was this Emperor Yulong? He had only left behind a strand of his aura, and it was already enough to break the space barrier. After the shock, Tang Ao was very happy. As long as the heavens did not stop, there would always be a chance of survival. Tang Ao had heard this before, but only now did Tang Ao have a deep understanding of it. Although Tang Ao would not be able to break through to the astral-reaching realm in a short period of time and break through the space barrier of the snowfield, this Emperor Yulong had left behind could help Tang Ao leave. Chapter 697. Sensing the emotions from the frost blood snake, Tang Ao was very touched. Leaving the frost blood snake to guard the rear was a decision that Tang Ao had no choice but to make. This was because the frost blood snake's body was powerful. Even if Tang Ao were to fight it with the battle sage bone life soul, he definitely wouldn't be able to withstand a single punch from Wu Ku. Wu Ku's punch had destroyed the frost blood snake's body, but if it had been Tang Ao, that punch would have destroyed Tang Ao's body and soul. After releasing the frost blood snake, it didn't blame Tang Ao for leaving it to guard the rear. Now that it saw that Tang Ao was still alive, it kept sending out happy emotions. Tang Ao looked at the frost blood snake and said seriously, "Frost blood snake, you're my brother from now on. I'm your big brother. No matter what danger you encounter in the future, I, Tang Ao, will protect you. I definitely won't die behind your back." The frost blood snake's intelligence was extremely low, so it didn't quite understand Tang Ao's words. However, it knew that it would protect Tang Ao even if it had to risk its life in the future. At the same time, it also vaguely understood that Tang Ao had the same thoughts as it. After summoning the frost blood snake's soul, Tang Ao waved his hand, and the jade bone life soul wrapped around the frost blood snake's soul. The frost blood snake's soul had suffered some injuries previously, so Tang Ao used the jade bone life soul to nourish its soul. While Tang Ao was repairing the frost blood snake's soul, the Shenong Emperor circled the frost blood snake. I originally thought that the frost blood snake only contained a wisp of dragon aura. I never expected it to be an ancient mutated frost python. The appearance of the frost blood snake is similar to that of the phantom frost python, but the frost blood snake can only evolve into an ordinary ice dragon, while the phantom frost python can evolve into one of the most powerful dragon clans, the phantom frost dragon. Tang Ao was overjoyed when he heard that the frost blood snake could evolve into a frost dark dragon. The dragon clan could be said to be the most powerful clan among the beasts. Aside from the ancient mutants, there was no other clan among the beasts that could compare to the dragon clan. However, there were many different types of dragons, but among the hundreds of dragon clans and the lesser dragon clans, there were 4 major dragon clans that were the most powerful. They stood above the other dragon clans. These 4 types of dragons were the burning flame dragon, the dark frost dragon, the primordial thunder dragon, and the 9-clawed golden dragon. Tang Huer, who had formed a spirit beast contract with Tang Ao, was a burning true dragon. Now, the frost blood snake was about to evolve into a frost dark dragon. It could be said that once Tang Huer and the frost blood snake matured, no one in the entire black-yellow continent would be a match for them. The frost blood snake had yet to obtain the inheritance of the dark dragon empress, so Tang Ao was not sure how strong the Frost Dark Dragon bloodline would be in the future. However, Tang Ao knew about the purity of Tang Horus bloodline. Under Tang Ao's investigation, Tang Horus bloodline was 100% Burning Flame True Dragon bloodline. According to Tang Ao's knowledge, 10,000 years ago, the strongest expert of the Burning Flame True Dragon clan only had a 70% pure bloodline. After 10,000 years, the purity of the Burning Flame True Dragon clan's bloodline must have dropped by a lot. Senior Shenong, are you saying that the Frost Blood Snake can evolve into a Frost Dark Dragon? Although Tang Ao was very happy, Tang Ao was worried that the Shenong Emperor's divine will would make a wrong judgment due to its age. Therefore, Tang Ao could not help but ask again. When did I say that the Frost Blood Snake can evolve into a Frost Dark Dragon? How many times do I have to repeat myself? This is not a Frost Blood Snake. This is an ancient mutant, Frost Dark Python. If it wasn't for the fact that this Frost Dark Python is not a first-generation Frost Dark Python and doesn't have the flesh of a first-generation Frost Dark Python, it would be stronger than the Frost Dark Dragon even if it did not accept the inheritance of the Dark Dragon Empress. Chapter 698. However, Tang Ao quickly understood. Even without the flesh of the first-generation Tranquil Ice Python, the Tranquil Ice Python would still be a terrifying existence if it could evolve into a Tranquil Ice Dragon. Moreover, Tang Ao felt that if the Tranquil Ice Python could evolve into a Tranquil Ice Dragon with 100% bloodline purity, then the Frost Blood Snake's future achievements wouldn't be any lower than the first-generation Tranquil Ice Python. Tang Ao looked at the Frost Blood Snake and said, "You are my second contracted spiritual beast. Today I will give you a name. Since your bloodline is the Tranquil Ice Python, then you will be called Tang Yu from now on." After Tang Ao finished speaking, Tang Yu also showed a hint of excitement. However, its intelligence was too low, so it didn't know what Tang Ao was doing. At this moment, the Shenong Emperor said again, "Actually, if the Tranquil Ice Dragon's bloodline purity can reach 100%, it will be an existence that surpasses the Tranquil Ice Python." Originally, as long as Tang Yu received Empress Yulong's inheritance, Tang Yu would definitely be able to become a Tranquil Ice Dragon with 100% bloodline purity. However, this old man is only in the divine will state now, so I can't use this method. Tang Ao originally wanted Tang Yu to become a Tranquil Ice Dragon with 100% bloodline purity. Now that he heard that the Shenong Emperor had such a method, Tang Ao naturally had to clarify. "Senior Shenong, what should I do to make Tang Yu have 100% bloodline purity when receiving Empress Yulong's inheritance?" The Shenong Emperor sighed slightly. "If I remember correctly, there is a dragon transformation grass among the many treasures in this snowfield. If you came a few hundred years earlier, I would definitely be able to recall this." The Shenong Emperor didn't continue speaking because Tang Ao had already taken out the dragon transformation grass. Dragon transformation grass? The Shenong Emperor was startled, because the Shenong Emperor remembered that the dragon transformation grass was sealed in an extremely powerful blizzard cyclone, and when Tang Ao came here, he was only on the 5th floor of Linghai Jing. Therefore, even an ancient expert like the Shenong Emperor could not believe that Tang Ao could actually bring the dragon transformation grass. Moreover, the Shenong Emperor knew that the Netherworld Emperor's mystic realm had dragon transformation grass. However, the dragon transformation grass that Tang Ao took out wasn't from the Netherworld Emperor's mystic realm. It was the dragon transformation grass that he had sealed in the blizzard cyclone. It doesn't matter how you obtained it. Now that you have this dragon transformation grass, things will be easier. After the Shenong Emperor finished speaking, he waved his hand, and a stone door facing Tang Ao slowly opened. Behind the stone door was a huge cauldron. The cauldron didn't emit any aura. If it wasn't for the 3 ancient words written on the cauldron, Tang Ao would have thought that it was just an ordinary cauldron. However, when Tang Ao saw the 3 ancient words, he felt his heart tremble. Moreover, after staring at the 3 words for a long time, Tang Ao felt a sense of vicissitude. After sensing that this cauldron wasn't ordinary, Tang Ao hurriedly retracted his gaze from the Shenong cauldron. At the same time, he looked at the movements of the Shenong cauldron in shock. At this moment, the Shenong grass had already been thrown into the medicine cauldron by the Shenong Emperor. At the same time, the Shenong Emperor's hand seals changed, and stalks of top-grade spiritual herbs continuously flew into the medicine cauldron. After these spiritual herbs flew into the medicine cauldron, they were rapidly refined by the cauldron into strands of incomparably pure medicinal liquid. At the same time, the impurities of the spiritual herbs also disappeared under the terrifying pressure. Chapter 699. The reason why Tang Ao understood why only life and death realm warriors could accept the Shenong Emperor's inheritance was because Tang Ao could see that the Shenong Emperor's alchemy inheritance had a very high starting point. Normally, alchemists would use an alchemy furnace to refine elixir pills with the help of some magical flames. However, the Shenong Emperor used a cauldron to refine elixir pills. Not only that, but when the Shenong Emperor was refining elixir pills, he would also constantly slap some alchemy techniques into the cauldron. These alchemy techniques could only be condensed by the soul power of a life and death realm warrior. Therefore, if one wanted to accept the Shenong Emperor's alchemy inheritance, one had to be a life and death realm warrior. Tang Ao was not a life and death realm warrior yet, but Tang Ao was not worried about this. Although Tang Ao did not have the cultivation of life and death realm, Tang Ao's soul power had already advanced to the life and death realm when Tang Ao refined the primordial sacred heavenly bow. Therefore, there was no problem for Tang Ao to accept the Shenong Emperor's alchemy inheritance. The Shenong Emperor's alchemy attainments were terrifying. According to Tang Ao's knowledge, the Emperor Dragon elixir that the Shenong Emperor was refining was a type of grade 9 elixir pill. Even in Tang Ao's previous life, there was not a single grade 9 elixir master in the Black-Yellow continent. However, the Shenong Emperor could refine a grade 9 elixir pill with a single thought. This meant that the Shenong Emperor's alchemy attainments were very likely to surpass a grade 9 elixir master. Tang Ao thought that his alchemy attainments were not bad in his previous life, but Tang Ao was only a grade 4 elixir master. Moreover, Tang Ao alchemy could only be regarded as a hobby in his previous life. Therefore, even if Tang Ao refined grade 4 elixir pills, Tang Ao's success rate was not high. The best alchemist Tang Ao had seen in his previous life was a peak 8th grade alchemist. At that time, Tang Ao was seriously injured by the Divine Bao Sect's primordial sacred heavenly bow and was on the verge of death. Although Tang Ao's means were extraordinary and he still managed to escape after being seriously injured by the primordial sacred heavenly bow, Tang Ao also fell from a height of 10,000 meters due to his heavy injuries after escaping from the Divine Bao Sect. Tang Ao had originally thought that he was done for. However, just as Tang Ao was in despair, an 8th grade alchemist named Enruosu had saved him. Although Tang Ao was seriously injured, Enruosu, an 8th grade alchemist, had still managed to pull Tang Ao back from the brink of death. At Enruosu's residence, Tang Ao recovered from his injuries very quickly. Tang Ao had originally thought that it would take him thousands of years to recover from his injuries. However, under Enruosu's care, Tang Ao only took a few decades to recover from his injuries. After fully recovering from his injuries, Tang Ao did what he regretted the most in his previous life. After recovering from his injuries, Tang Ao left Enruosu. Enruosu's alchemy attainments were amazing and she was an 8th grade elixir master. However, Enruosu's martial arts cultivation was average. She was only at the early stage of the life and death realm. Moreover, Unrosu's family had a mortal enemy called the Star Refining Tao sect. Not long after Tang Ao left, he was discovered by the experts of the Star Refining Tao sect. Tang Ao and the Star Refining Tao sect had never been on good terms. Therefore, Tang Ao had casually killed a few experts from the Star Refining Tao sect. One of the experts from the Star Refining Tao sect had used an aura-concealing talisman to deceive Tang Ao. After Tang Ao left, the experts from the Star Refining Tao sect swarmed over, wanting to find Tang Ao in the vicinity. However, Tang Ao had already gone far away. Naturally, these people could not find Tang Ao. However, the Star Refining Tao sect had not expected that although they could not find Tang Ao in the vicinity, they would find the remnants of the family, one of the sworn enemies of the Star Refining Tao sect. After Enrosu was discovered by the Star Refining Tao sect, she was brutally killed by the experts of the Star Refining Tao sect. Chapter 700. When Tang Ao learned of what had happened back then, Tang Ao was filled with regret. At the same time of regret, Tang Ao was also extremely furious. Even a peak sect like the Refining Star Tao sect couldn't bear the fury of a demon lord. In his previous life, Tang Ao had cultivated the demon Tao. Therefore, Tang Ao had turned the Refining Star Tao sect into a river of blood in one night. All the disciples above the Sea of Soul Realm had been killed by Tang Ao. After Tang Ao had turned the Refining Star Tao sect into a river of blood, Tang Ao's fearsome name had spread throughout the Black-Yellow continent. However, Tang Ao had fallen early. Therefore, after 10,000 years, not many people in the Black-Yellow continent remembered the fearsome demon Lord Tang Ao of 10,000 years ago. Just as Tang Ao was immersed in his memories, a relaxing pill fragrance wafted over. Tang Ao hurriedly looked at the Shenong Emperor, who was refining the Emperor Dragon pill. At this moment, the Emperor Dragon pill was slowly taking shape under the Shenong Emperor's control. If the Shenong Emperor's main body was here, refining a grade 9 spirit pill would be as easy as breathing for the Shenong Emperor. However, the Shenong Emperor's expression was grave. Although the Emperor Dragon pill was continuously taking shape and the pill fragrance was spreading, the Shenong Emperor knew that he had been too careless. It wasn't because he couldn't refine the Emperor Dragon pill with his level of alchemy, but because he was only left with a strand of divine sense. Moreover, this strand of divine sense had existed in the Shenong Emperor's palace for tens of thousands of years. It was so weak that it could collapse at any moment. If the Emperor Dragon pill collapsed after being refined, he wouldn't have any regrets. Although his strand of divine sense was still here, the Shenong Emperor knew that his soul had already reincarnated. Therefore, even if this strand of divine sense had dissipated, he wouldn't disappear from this world forever. However, even though his soul was reincarnated, the Shenong Emperor had no way of knowing the situation after his reincarnation. Moreover, the Shenong Emperor had the intention to let Tang Ao inherit his alchemy heritage. However, he felt that his spiritual will was about to dissipate at any time. Although Tang Ao's current power was only at the peak level of the 9th floor of Linghai Jing, Tang Ao was a peak-level astral-reaching realm warrior in his previous life after all. Therefore, Tang Ao could still see things clearly. When the Shenong Emperor's breathing became a little chaotic, Tang Ao understood that the Shenong Emperor's spiritual force had reached its end. Therefore, Tang Ao immediately bowed to the Shenong Emperor and said, "Junior has already received many benefits from Senior here. If Senior has any instructions, Junior will definitely do his best to help Senior complete them." Regarding Tang Ao's attitude, the Shenong Emperor was very satisfied. "Tang Ao, this old man originally wanted to personally guide you in alchemy, but it seems like that won't be possible now. After helping you concoct this Emperor Dragon pill, this old man has reached his limit. This old man's alchemy heritage is right under the Shenong Emperor's palace. As long as you can concoct a grade 6 pill in the Shenong Cauldron, you will be able to open this old man's heritage. At the same time, you will be able to open Emperor Yolong's heritage. Tang Ao nodded and didn't say anything, quietly listening to the Shenong Emperor. Tang Ao, your talent and potential are not bad. After you inherit this old man's heritage, you must not do evil, understood? As soon as the Shenong Emperor finished speaking, Tang Ao immediately cupped his fists and said, Junior understands. After this junior obtains senior's heritage, I will definitely use it to benefit the billions of lives in the Black-Yellow continent. The Shenong Emperor could concoct a grade 9 pill with just a spiritual will. Tang Ao knew better than anyone how amazing the Shenong Emperor's alchemy heritage was. Chapter 701. After the Shenong Emperor's figure disappeared, Tang Ao saw a faint golden pellet emitting a frightening aura. Normally, a full 9th grade spirit pellet was 3 pellet. However, this legendary Emperor Dragon pellet only had 1 pellet. Tang Ao didn't doubt the Shenong Emperor's alchemy level. Therefore, Tang Ao understood that even though they were both 9th grade spirit pellets, this Emperor Dragon pellet was a special existence, because the full pellet was one of a kind. Although Tang Ao knew that a powerhouse like the Shenong Emperor would certainly be able to enter the reincarnation cycle. However, after the reincarnation cycle, Tang Ao didn't know how much of a connection there would be between the previous and the current life. The Shenong Emperor's strength was a whole realm higher than Tang Ao's previous life. However, Tang Ao knew that after a 9th-level astral-reaching expert's reincarnation cycle, there wouldn't be much of a connection between the previous life and the current life. The reason why Tang Ao could retain all the memories of his previous life, even the hidden jade body constitution, was not because of Tang Ao's strength, but because of the mysterious 6 light mirror on Tang Ao's neck. Therefore, even if the Shenong Emperor's strength was higher than Tang Ao's, after the Shenong Emperor's reincarnation cycle, Tang Ao didn't know how many memories Tang Ao would retain. Tang Ao respectfully walked to the side of the Shenong cauldron. Towards an ancient powerhouse like the Shenong Emperor, Tang Ao was still very respectful. Even if the Shenong Emperor's cultivation base was much higher than Tang Ao's, the Shenong Emperor spoke to Tang Ao in a very amiable manner, completely unlike other powerhouses who bully the weak. Tang Ao took the Emperor Dragon elixir floating above the Shenong cauldron and handed it to the Phantom Ice Python. Tang Yu, this is an opportunity given to you by Senior Shenong Emperor. You have to grasp it well. Take this Emperor Dragon pill first. I will learn alchemy here. After a month, I will definitely be able to refine a 6th grade spirit pill and open the land of inheritance. Before that, you should recover your vitality. Hearing Tang Ao's words, Tang Yu nodded, not fully understanding. Then, he swallowed the Emperor Dragon pill that Tang Ao had given him. After the Emperor Dragon pill was swallowed by Tang Yu, it immediately turned into a warm current that nourished Tang Yu's soul. When Tang Yu's body was destroyed, his soul was also damaged. A month later, Tang Ao would open the land of inheritance. Therefore, during this period of time, Tang Yu must adjust his condition to the peak. Otherwise, even if he accepted the Nether Dragon Empress's inheritance, his bloodline would most likely not reach 100% purity. Even among the many 9th grade spirit pills, the Emperor Dragon pill was a very top-notch existence. Therefore, when Tang Yu refined the Emperor Dragon pill in his soul state, the medicinal properties of the Emperor Dragon pill were not affected much. Under Tang Yu's control, wisps of golden aura seeped out of the Emperor Dragon pill and nourished his soul. With the nourishment of this golden aura, Tang Yu's soul power also became stronger. While Tang Yu refined and absorbed the 9th grade spirit pill, Tang Ao also walked to the side of the simple and imposing Shenong cauldron. In this life, Tang Ao had yet to refine pills. However, in his previous life, although Tang Ao's alchemy skills were not very good, he had refined many pills. Especially when he was recuperating, Tang Ao refined pills with Enruosu almost every day. Chapter 702. This meant that if Tang Ao wanted to obtain the Shennong Emperor's alchemy inheritance, he would have to learn everything on the Jade Slip and use the Shennong Cauldron to refine a Grade 6 spirit pill. This way, not only could Tang Ao obtain the Shennong Emperor's alchemy inheritance, but Tang Yu could also obtain the Yulong Emperor's inheritance. Tang Ao scanned the room with his soul power. There were plenty of Grade 1 to Grade 6 spirit herbs in the Shennong Emperor's alchemy room. Plus, Tang Ao was a Grade 4 spirit pill refiner in his previous life, so Tang Ao was confident that he could refine Grade 6 spirit pills in a short period of time. Of course, apart from his previous life's alchemy experience, the most important factor was that Tang Ao had obtained the Shennong Emperor's alchemy inheritance. Although it was just a jade slip, it had a very detailed analysis of all kinds of spirit herbs from level 1 to level 6. At the same time, there was a very detailed description of the refining process of all kinds of pills. There were even some pills. Besides the normal pill recipes, Tang Ao also saw different pill recipes. In addition to these different pill recipes, the Shennong Emperor even deduced some pill recipes that he hadn't had time to practice. Tang Ao spent a full 7 days practicing before he completely digested the Shennong Emperor's inheritance Jade Slip. After digesting the Shennong Emperor's inheritance Jade Slip, Tang Ao knew that with this inheritance Jade Slip, even someone who didn't know alchemy could become a pretty good alchemist. As long as one had a bit of talent in alchemy, they would be able to make a name for themselves in the alchemy world. After digesting the Shennong Emperor's inheritance Jade Slip, Tang Ao was ready to start alchemy. However, Tang Ao didn't use the Shennong Emperor's Shennong Cauldron. Even though Tang Ao knew that it would be easier to concoct pills with the Shennong Cauldron, Tang Ao still wanted to know what level his true alchemy level was at. Tang Ao casually took out a cauldron from his storage ring. This cauldron was only a 3rd-rank cauldron. If he wanted to refine a 6th-rank spirit pill, this cauldron's grade was indeed a bit low. However, Tang Ao just wanted to test his true alchemy skills, so he used ordinary alchemy method. Tang Ao had learned alchemy in both of his lives, and his starting point was frighteningly high. In his previous life, Tang Ao had learned alchemy from Enruosu, an 8th-grade alchemist, when Tang Ao was injured. According to Tang Ao's investigation, Enruosu was the most accomplished alchemist in the Black-Yellow continent in that era. She was an 8th-grade alchemist at the peak. However, because Enruosu had offended the refining Star Dao sect, she had never dared to reveal that she could concoct pills. If Tang Ao hadn't accidentally exposed Enruosu's position in his previous life, Enruosu would have most likely gone further in the alchemy path. Although she might not have been able to surpass the Shennong Emperor, she would certainly not have stopped at the 8th-grade alchemist level. When Tang Ao had learned alchemy from Enruosu, he had left when he had reached the level of a 2nd-grade alchemist. Later, when Tang Ao learned that Enruosu had died because of him, Tang Ao didn't have the heart to concoct pills. Every time he thought of Enruosu, he would casually refine 1 or 2 cauldrons of pills. Even so, after hundreds and thousands of years of accumulation, Tang Ao still became a 4th-grade alchemist. This time, Tang Ao had inherited the alchemy path from the Shennong Emperor. Even though he hadn't started concocting pills yet, Tang Ao was sure that his alchemy level was no longer the same as in his previous life. After sorting out his state of mind, Tang Ao's mind moved, and a flame condensed in the cauldron. This flame was produced after Tang Ao had activated the array of the cauldron. Chapter 703. Tang Ao had refined the body forging pill in his previous life. Moreover, when Tang Ao was learning alchemy, the first pill he refined was the body forging pill. At this moment, when he was refining the body forging pill, Tang Ao felt a little emotional. However, these emotions were quickly put aside by Tang Ao. Tang Ao's mind moved, and the 3 pill recipes for refining the body forging pill appeared clearly in his mind. In the black-yellow continent, as long as an alchemist could refine the body forging pill, they would basically know that there were 3 ways to refine the body forging pill. If it was in the past, Tang Ao would also think that there were only 3 ways to refine the body forging pill. However, after Tang Ao obtained the inheritance jade slip of the Shennong Emperor, Tang Ao knew that there were more than 9 ways to refine the body forging pill. Moreover, among these 9 refining methods, there was a huge difference in the spiritual herbs used. In the inheritance jade slip of the Shennong Emperor had used these 9 pill recipes to refine the first-grade special-class body forging pill. Therefore, Tang Ao said that there were more than 9 ways to refine the body forging pill. This was because after the Shennong Emperor had given these 9 refining methods, he had also deduced some pill recipes that he had not tried. After Tang Ao looked at the 9 pill recipes, he turned his attention to the many pill recipes that the Shennong Emperor had deduced but had not tried. The concept of these pill recipes amazed Tang Ao. Tang Ao even had an illusion that these pill recipes that the Shennong Emperor had not tried could all be used to refine the body forging pill. Tang Ao felt that this idea might be a bit ridiculous, but at this moment, Tang Ao really felt this way. After looking at the pill formulas deduced by the Shennong Emperor, Tang Ao's eyes suddenly lit up. This was because Tang Ao saw a very shocking pill formula. This pill recipe used more ingredients than the other pill recipes. There were a total of 9 types, while the other pill recipes basically used 5 to 7 types of spirit herbs and herbs to refine the body forging pill. However, this pill formula still gave Tang Ao a deep shock. This was because although this pill formula used 9 kinds of materials, none of them were spiritual materials. They were all materials from the mortal city. 1 caddy of cinnabar, 1 caddy of realgar, 10 taels of jade powder, 10 taels of magnetic stone powder, 5 taels of amethyst, 5 taels of white quartz, 5 taels of silver powder, 10 taels of azurite, and 1 caddy of flowing snow. Looking at these materials, Tang Ao was still very excited. These materials were all ordinary materials. Although the body forging pill could also be taken by mortals, the body forging pill was a spirit pill. The pill formula deduced by the Shennong Emperor actually used mortal materials to replace the spirit herbs, and it could also be used to refine the body forging pill. This was the strength of the Shennong Emperor. Although Tang Ao also had some of these alchemy materials, they were definitely not as rich as here. Tang Ao used his soul power and all kinds of materials were rolled over by Tang Ao. Although these materials that Tang Ao had now were very common in the mortal city, there were really not many of them in this alchemy room. Therefore, even though he knew that he was only refining a trivial first-grade spirit pill, Tang Ao was still very cautious. It stood to reason that Tang Ao was a 4th-grade alchemist in his previous life, and in this life, he even obtained the alchemy inheritance of the Shennong Emperor. At this moment, Tang Ao's alchemy level should be higher than before, but this time, Tang Ao had a premonition that the alchemy would fail. As long as an alchemist had a grade, regardless of the grade, refining a furnace of body forging pill was not a problem. Chapter 704. The pill recipe that Tang Ao used this time was one of the many pill recipes deduced by the Shennong Emperor. These pill recipes gave Tang Ao the feeling that these pill recipes could be used to refine the body forging pill. However, the failure just now told Tang Ao that the pill recipes absolutely could not be judged by feeling. After the previous pill recipe did not refine the body forging pill, Tang Ao calmed down and began to refine the pill again. This time, Tang Ao did not choose the pill recipe from the previous time. Although the previous pill refining failed, Tang Ao faintly felt that although the previous pill refining failed, it was very close to success. In other words, there was no problem with the material recipe, but the ratio between the various materials might need to be adjusted. Now that Tang Ao was pressed for time and he did not have enough materials, Tang Ao could only put this matter aside for now. This time, Tang Ao used a common pill recipe. Using this pill recipe to refine the body forging pill, Tang Ao had refined many in his previous life. Therefore, when he was refining again in this life, a very familiar feeling surged in his heart. Coupled with the reminder from the Shennong Emperor's inheritance jade slip, Tang Ao quickly refined the first batch of body forging pills. At this moment, there were 12 body forging pills in the pill furnace. The last time Tang Ao refined the pill, he failed in the process of forming the pill. This time, it was very smooth, but when the pill was forming, Tang Ao was also very careful. Finally, under the guidance of Tang Ao's hand gestures, 12 smooth and uniform pills were brought out of the pill furnace by Tang Ao. Although they were the most common grade 1 pills, these pills actually emitted a faint pill fragrance. Tang Ao looked at the 12 smooth and uniform pills. His heart was very excited. For an alchemist, even the most brilliant alchemist, failure was a common thing. Tang Ao was a little worried when he failed to refine the first batch of elixirs. However, with the success of the second batch of elixirs, Tang Ao's worries disappeared. Looking at the 12 special grade body forging pills, Tang Ao was filled with emotions. In his previous life, Tang Ao alchemy had been practicing alchemy for hundreds of years. In the end, he even became a 4th grade alchemist. However, until Tang Ao's death, Tang Ao was still unable to refine special grade pills. All pills were divided into 9 grades, and each grade was further divided into low grade, medium grade, high grade, and special grade. In his previous life, Tang Ao alchemy did not put much effort into it, so even though Tang Ao had become a 4th level alchemist, he could only refine a high grade body forging pill. Similarly, when it came to 4th level pills, Tang Ao could only refine high grade body forging pills. As for the best quality pills, no matter what grade they were, Tang Ao had not refined them even once. Tang Ao closed his eyes and felt the process of refining the elixir just now. Once again, the ingredients for refining the body forging pill were thrown into the alchemy furnace by Tang Ao. However, this time, Tang Ao did not use the elixir recipe that he had just succeeded with, but the elixir recipe that he had failed with the first time. Faintly, Tang Ao found that his first failure was not a problem with the elixir recipe, nor was it a problem with the ratio of the ingredients. It was really a problem with his level of alchemy. After he had successfully refined a batch of body forging pills, Tang Ao's state of mind had risen a lot, and his understanding of the body forging pill had also deepened. Therefore, Tang Ao decided to try refining this kind of elixir again. As Tang Ao threw the ingredients into the alchemy furnace, Tang Ao's hands were constantly making some alchemy techniques. Chapter 705. In the Shennong Emperor's palace, Tang Ao's originally confident face no longer had confidence. It was not that he had lost confidence in his own alchemy, but he had lost confidence in the furnace of elixir pills in his hands. As Tang Ao's hands continuously clapped, the medicinal liquid in the elixir furnace was indeed slowly condensing into elixir pills. However, what made Tang Ao puzzled was that even though he did not make any mistakes during the process, there was still a violent aura coming from the pill furnace. Feeling the increasingly violent aura in the elixir furnace, a golden light flashed on Tang Ao's body. The battle sage bone life soul instantly covered Tang Ao's body like a golden armor. Boom! Pata! The moment Tang Ao summoned the battle sage bone life soul, Tang Ao's elixir furnace exploded. Tang Ao was originally a 4th grade elixir master. Now, he had the inheritance of the Shennong Emperor's elixir Dao. Even so, when he was refining a 1st grade elixir, his elixir furnace actually exploded. Even Tang Ao was a little embarrassed at this moment. However, after the explosion of the furnace of elixir pills, Tang Ao finally discovered the problem. The reason why this furnace of elixir pills failed was not because there was a problem with the elixir recipe, nor was there a problem with the proportion of medicinal herbs. It was not even a problem with Tang Ao's alchemy skills. It was because Tang Ao's alchemy fire was too weak. The elixir furnace that Tang Ao had exploded was only a third-grade elixir furnace. Moreover, it was a common item, so the alchemy fire that the elixir furnace triggered was also very ordinary. After understanding this reason, Tang Ao felt that the elixir recipe created by the Shennong Emperor was somewhat impractical. Among the 9 materials used in this elixir recipe, there was not a single spiritual material. This was what Tang Ao was very fond of because once this elixir recipe was released, both warriors and ordinary people would be able to buy cheap body-forging elixirs. The black-yellow continent was vast, and the human clan was the largest race living in it. Among all the human clan, almost half of the human clan could become powerful warriors, but the other half were just ordinary people. For these ordinary people, not to mention demonic beasts, it would not be easy for them to deal with ordinary wild beasts. Therefore, once a beast tide formed by some ordinary wild beasts breached a human city, and there were no warriors in the city who could stop them, then the human city would most likely be flattened by the beast tide. The body-strengthening pill could temper a human's physical body. Just 3 to 5 body-strengthening pills were needed, and even a mortal without martial arts talent would be able to crush rocks with the strength of their physical body. Although the pill formula deduced by the Shennong Emperor could not solve the problem of most people being unable to cultivate, it could allow most people to have extraordinary power. When these powers are used in production and daily life, they can promote the progress of the human race. Out of the 9 body-forging pill formulas, all of them had used different amounts of spirit herbs. As long as it was contaminated with a spirit grass, regardless of the grade of the spirit grass, the body-forging pill refined from it was not something that ordinary people could afford. However, this elixir recipe deduced by the Shennong Emperor did not use a single spiritual material. Tang Ao did not know if the Shennong Emperor had the same idea as him, but Tang Ao had already decided that once this elixir recipe was improved, he would promote it for free. In fact, Tang Ao's idea could be said to be the same as the Shennong Emperor's idea. The Shennong Emperor had this plan for a long time, but the Shennong Emperor had a lot of things to do, and he did not have the time to study this elixir recipe thoroughly before he fell. Therefore, in the inheritance of the Shennong Emperor, many elixir recipes were only deduced by the Shennong Emperor, and he had not really tried them. Chapter 706. After Tang Ao found out that his alchemy furnace wasn't good enough, he set his sights on the Shennong cauldron. His alchemy furnace was only a third-grade alchemy furnace, but the Shennong cauldron's grade was high enough, right? After deciding to use the Shennong Emperor for alchemy, Tang Ao began to refine the Shennong cauldron. After the Shennong Emperor decided to let Tang Ao inherit his inheritance, the Shennong Emperor erased the imprint on the Shennong cauldron. Therefore, Tang Ao quickly refined the first layer of restrictions on the Shennong cauldron. After refining the first layer of restrictions, Tang Ao knew that the Shennong cauldron had a total of 9 layers of restrictions. After refining the first layer, Tang Ao could use the Shennong cauldron. The Shennong cauldron in front of him was bigger than an ordinary stone mill. Although it was cool to use such a big alchemy furnace for alchemy, Tang Ao still made the Shennong cauldron about the same size as an ordinary alchemy furnace. After everything was prepared, Tang Ao took out the last set of ingredients for the body-honing pill. As these ingredients weren't spiritual ingredients, there weren't many in the alchemy room. The set of ingredients in Tang Ao's hands was also the last set of ingredient. Even though he had failed twice, Tang Ao was still looking forward to this elixir recipe. Because of this, Tang Ao was even prepared for a third failure. Tang Ao used the spiritual power in his body, and the Shenong cauldron immediately spat out a ball of flames. Under the control of Tang Ao's soul power, Tang Ao could control the temperature of the various parts of the flames as he wished. Tang Ao secretly thought that it was amazing, and then threw the ingredients into the Shenong cauldron without hesitation. After Tang Ao threw the ingredients into the Shenong cauldron, the flames in the Shenong cauldron quickly wrapped the ingredient. The Shenong cauldron was extremely fast for alchemy, and its requirement for soul power was much lower than the third-grade alchemy furnace Tang Ao used. Therefore, when Tang Ao used the Shenong cauldron to refine a first-grade elixir like the body honing pill, he felt that it was extremely easy. Following Tang Ao's pill arts, the 9 kinds of medicinal herbs in the flame were quickly refined into medicinal essences. At the same time that the medicinal essence was extracted, the impurities were also turned into ashes by the scorching flames. Half an hour later, Tang Ao used several pill techniques to control the fusion of the medicinal essences and began to condense the pill. In fact, as early as an hour ago, Tang Ao had already extracted all the medicinal liquid essences. After extracting the medicinal liquid essences, Tang Ao was still observing while continuing to extract the medicinal liquid essences. With the previous 2 failures, Tang Ao was more confident this time. One by one, Tang Ao used the pill arts, and the 12 elixirs in the Shenong cauldron gradually formed. He didn't know if it was because he didn't use any spiritual materials, but these elixirs were constantly forming and had a pill fragrance, but they didn't have any spirituality, just like ordinary elixirs. Since the Shenong Emperor hadn't refined this kind of elixir before, Tang Ao didn't know if there were any problems with the refinement this time. After condensing the elixirs, Tang Ao used his hands to make a pill art. Then, he used his soul power to guide the Shenong cauldron, and 12 smooth and extremely ordinary elixirs were brought out by Tang Ao. After these 12 elixirs came out, they fell into the jade bottle that Tang Ao had prepared. Seeing that he had successfully refined the elixirs, Tang Ao wasn't very happy. This was because Tang Ao had already used his soul power to scan the elixirs. Although these 12 elixirs were formed, they could be said to be riddled with holes. They were still a batch of useless elixirs. The only thing worth mentioning was that Tang Ao didn't blow up the cauldron this time. Indeed, not long after, the body honing pills that fell into the jade bottle were all broken. Chapter 707. Tang Ao had been able to quickly find the reason for the previous 2 failures, but this time, Tang Ao could only find some clues. Through these 3 attempts, Tang Ao felt that the Shenong Emperor's recipe was still missing a medicinal ingredient. However, Tang Ao had looked through the Shenong Emperor's recipe over 10 times, but he still couldn't figure out which medicinal ingredient was missing from the Shenong Emperor's recipe. Since he couldn't figure it out for the time being, Tang Ao decided to put the body tempering pills recipe aside. His top priority now was to become a 6th-grade alchemist as soon as possible and obtain the second half of the Shenong Emperor's alchemy Dao inheritance. At the same time, he wanted Tang Yu to accept the Nether Dragon Emperor's inheritance. Half a month passed by quickly. During this time, Tang Ao spent all his time refining pills. Once his soul power and spiritual power were used up, Tang Ao would sit cross-legged and adjust his breathing. After that, Tang Ao continued refining pills. Tang Ao was already a 4th-grade alchemist, and after half a month of refining pills without eating or sleeping, Tang Ao's alchemy level quickly reached the peak of the 4th grade. After refining another batch of 4th-grade pills, Tang Ao nodded his head in satisfaction. Inside the jade bottle were 9 well-proportioned and perfectly round Qi pills, which emanated a Dan aura. The 1 Qi pill was one of the most difficult 4th-grade pills to refine. The 1 Qi pill's effect was similar to the mysterious clear mirror. It could increase the speed at which spiritual power circulated in a martialist's body in a short period of time, thereby increasing the power of a martialist's martial techniques and mystic technique. However, Tang Ao knew that the mysterious clear mirror side effects were almost non-existent, while the one Qi pill's side effects were huge. After consuming the one Qi pill, a martialist's meridians would easily tear. Furthermore, 7 days after the one Qi pill's effects had passed, the martialist wouldn't be able to use spiritual power or summon his fate soul. In Tang Ao's opinion, the one Qi pill was too useless. This wasn't to say that the one Qi pill was useless. When two evenly matched martialists fought, the martialist who consumed the one Qi pill would definitely have the upper hand. After consuming the one Qi pill, the speed at which one's spiritual power circulated would increase by 3 times. Even though Tang Ao hadn't consumed the one Qi pill before, Tang Ao could imagine how terrifying the one Qi pill was. However, what was more frustrating was that the side effects of taking the one Qi pill were too severe, which greatly reduced the scope of application of this pill. This kind of medicinal pill, unless one encountered a life and death crisis, once consumed, once the medicinal effect wore off, one would be at the mercy of others. In Tang Ao's eyes, the one Qi pill was worthless. However, Tang Ao did not know that the one Qi pill was still a very popular pill in the black-yellow continent. After refining the one Qi pill, Tang Ao was ready to refine a level 5 pill. Now, Tang Ao could easily refine a level 4 pill. Due to the countless years of experience accumulated by the Shennong Emperor, Tang Ao could easily refine a special class level 4 pill after accepting the Shennong Emperor's inheritance. This also meant that Tang Ao was now a peak level 4 spirit pill master. A peak level 4 spirit pill master would have a place no matter where he went. In some small sects, his status would be frighteningly high. However, Tang Ao knew that becoming a level 4 spirit pill master wasn't the end. It was merely the beginning of his journey in alchemy. Tang Ao didn't continue to refine level 5 pills. Instead, he sat down cross-legged and sorted out what he had learned during this period of time. In this life, Tang Ao had only used half a month to refine level 4 pills. This speed was already very shocking. Tang Ao also knew that his speed was too fast. Therefore, after he could casually refine level 4 pills, Tang Ao stopped to sort out his experience and understanding of alchemy. Chapter 708. Next, it was time to break through to become a Grade 5 Elixir Master. On the surface, a Grade 5 Spirit Pill Master and a Grade 4 Spirit Pill Master were only 1 grade apart, but in reality, the difference between a Grade 4 Spirit Pill Master and a Grade 5 Spirit Pill Master was like the difference between heaven and earth. It was immeasurable. Just like how Tang Ao had become a Grade 4 Elixir Master in his previous life, Tang Ao had spent a lot of time accumulating, and Tang Ao had naturally become a Grade 4 Elixir Master. However, it was impossible for Tang Ao to become a Grade 5 Elixir Master by accumulating time. Firstly, Tang Ao didn't have that much time. Secondly, even if Tang Ao spent a lot of time accumulating, he definitely wouldn't be able to become a Grade 5 Elixir Master. This was because a Grade 5 Elixir Master couldn't be achieved by having a thorough understanding of medicinal herbs and proficiency in alchemy skills. Elixir pills above Grade 5 already contained the Tao runes of heaven and earth. If one couldn't integrate the Tao runes into a Grade 5 elixir pill, they definitely wouldn't be able to refine a Grade 5 elixir pill. In the black-yellow continent, elixir masters from Grade 5 to 8 would generally have a title. A Grade 5 elixir master would be called a Grade 5 elixir king, and from Grade 6 to 8 they would always be called elixir kings. However, elixir masters above Grade 8 who could refine Grade 9 elixir pills would be called elixir emperors. In Tang Ao's previous life, there had been no elixir emperors in the black-yellow continent. The strongest one, Unruosu, was only at the peak of grade 8 Elixir King. In this life, there would naturally be no Elixir Emperors. Tang Ao felt that the strongest Elixir Master in the Black-Yellow Continent was probably no higher than a grade 7 Elixir King. Tang Ao didn't care about the various Elixir Kings in the Black-Yellow Continent at all. What Tang Ao was most concerned about now was when he could refine grade 6 elixir pills and obtain the second half of the inheritance jade slip of the Shennong Emperor. Tang Ao was looking forward to the second half of the inheritance jade slip of the Shennong Emperor, but he wasn't in a hurry at all. The most urgent thing for Tang Ao now was to leave the Shennong Emperor Palace as soon as possible and bring the Shennong grass back to save Su Ning. But what was more frustrating was that Tang Ao had no other way to leave the snowfield. Therefore, Tang Ao could only use the Shennong Emperor's method to quickly refine a grade 6 spirit pill and then let Tang Yu accept Emperor Yulong's inheritance. The first batch of spirit pills that Tang Ao was preparing to refine was called the Life and Death Profound Pill. The effect of the Life and Death Profound Pellet was to allow Sea of Souls realm martial artists to sense the opportunity of the Life and Death realm, thereby increasing their chances of entering the Life and Death realm. The low-rank Life and Death esoteric pellets could only increase the chance of Sea of Souls realm warriors comprehending Life and Death realm warriors by 10%. Meanwhile, a mid-level Life and Death Profound Core could increase a spiritual Sea realm martial artist's chances of comprehending the Life and Death realm by 30%. As for the high-grade Life and Death Profound Pill, it could increase a spiritual Sea realm martial artist's chances of comprehending the Life and Death realm by 50%. It could be said that if a Sea of Soul realm martial artist with a high-grade Life and Death Profound Pill was still unable to break through to the Life and Death realm, then his aptitude was really too poor. It was said that in addition to high-grade Life and Death pills, there were also special-grade Life and Death pills. This grade of Life and Death Profound Pill could allow a martial artist who had completed the 9th floor of Linghai Jing to step into the Life and Death realm with 100% certainty. It was just that in the current Black-Yellow Continent there were very few top-notch alchemists. A high-grade Life and Death Profound Pill was enough to make countless forces go crazy. After Tang Ao made some adjustments, he placed all the herbs needed to refine the Life and Death Profound Pill into the Shennong Cauldron. Refining the Life and Death Profound Pill required a total of 21 spirit herbs. Normally, when a 5th-grade alchemist refined the Life and Death Profound Pill, they would separate the herbs into 2 refinements. This was because the herbs used to refine the Life and Death Profound Pill were the opposite of the flying tobacco and silver light flower. Chapter 709. If Tang Ao did not have the inheritance of the Shennong Emperor, Tang Ao would not have refined 21 herbs at once when refining the mysterious Life and Death Pill. In the inheritance jade slip of the Shennong Emperor had said that although the attributes of the flying tobacco and the silver light flower were mutually exclusive, they had to be refined at the same time in order to neutralize their medicinal properties. Once these 2 kinds of spirit herbs were refined separately, the essence of the medicinal liquid could not be perfectly neutralized. In this way, even a top-notch alchemist would not be able to refine a special class 5th-grade mysterious Life and Death Pill. Tang Ao did not want to refine a special class 5th-grade mysterious Life and Death Pill this time. As long as Tang Ao could successfully refine a low-class 5th-grade mysterious Life and Death Pill, it would be considered a success for Tang Ao. Although his goal was very low, Tang Ao still meticulously followed the steps in the inheritance jade slip of the Shennong Emperor during the refining process. In the Shennong Emperor's palace, Tang Ao was still quietly refining pills. On the snowfield, Yen Yen, who was dressed in black, was desperately fleeing. Behind Yen Yen, Bai Feng chased him unscrupulously. Bai Feng could feel that Yen Yen was deliberately leading him in a certain direction, but Bai Feng did not care at all. The martialists from the black-yellow continent had come here first and obtained many treasures in the snowfield. Not long ago, the kid named Tang Ao had even taken out the legendary primordial sacred heaven bow. Not far in front of Yen Yen, Murong Xiao and the others had set up a fifth-grade trap and kill array, waiting for Bai Feng, who was following Yen Yen, to take the bait. Although Murong Xiao was concerned about the ninth-grade divine weapon on Tang Ao, Murong Xiao also knew that the ninth-grade divine weapon and the mysterious clear mirror would have little to do with him if he did not get rid of the trash from the heavenly sun continent. Therefore, Murong Xiao divided the surviving warriors into two groups. One group would continue to search for Tang Ao and Xia Qinyu in the snowfield, while the other group would follow him to the snowfield to ambush and kill the bastards from the heavenly sun continent. Murong Xiao sneered when he saw Bai Feng charging at him without the slightest scruple. At that moment, the communication bead on Murong Xiao's wrist trembled slightly and a message was transmitted to Murong Xiao's sea of consciousness. Murong Xiao's face lit up. Tang Ao and Xia Qinyu had indeed hidden themselves in the ice and snow underground. Now, his subordinates had found Xia Qinyu 200 feet below the snowfield. Although they had not found Tang Ao, Murong Xiao felt that as long as they found Xia Qinyu, Tang Ao would not be far away. Moreover, Tang Ao had a 9th-grade divine weapon, and Xia Qinyu also had an 8th-grade divine weapon, the mysterious clear mirror. Do it! After Bai Feng charged into the rank 5 trap and kill array without the slightest scruple, Murong Xiao immediately activated the rank 5 trap and charged forward with the unfettered saber. Bai Feng did not care about the ambush of Murong Xiao's group at all. However, after the rank 5 trap and kill array was activated, Bai Feng's expression changed slightly. When he saw the powerful life and death aura on Murong Xiao's body, Bai Feng immediately realized that he had been too careless. Bai Feng immediately wanted to blast open the rank 5 trap and retreat, but the moment he moved, Shi Hongyi's group of 4 blocked his path of retreat. When Bai Feng saw this situation, he also knew that he could not escape. Hence, a berserk aura rose continuously in Bai Feng's body. Bai Feng was about to self-destruct. Inside the Shennong Emperor's palace, Tang Ao sat on the ground with his face covered in dirt as he adjusted his breathing. Even though he had the inheritance of the Shennong Emperor, refining a 5th-grade spirit pill was not an easy task. Up until now, Tang Ao had already failed for the 9th time. What made Tang Ao feel the most helpless was that even though he had failed 9 times, Tang Ao still did not know how to improve. Chapter 710. After carefully reading through the inheritance jade slip several times, Tang Ao found the problem. Refining a grade 5 spirit pill required the integration of nomological spirituality, but Tang Ao didn't know how to integrate nomological spirituality. Furthermore, the inheritance jade slip from the Shennong Emperor didn't mention how to integrate nomological spirituality. Tang Ao didn't think that the Shennong Emperor had missed such an important piece of information. Since that was the case, the Shennong Emperor wanted the inheritor to comprehend it on his own. After understanding the Shennong Emperor's intentions, Tang Ao got up and went to the Shennong cauldron again. The spiritual power in his body moved, and a ball of flame immediately gathered in the Shennong cauldron. Tang Ao controlled the flame to clean the Shennong cauldron before throwing the materials for refining the mysterious life and death pill into the Shennong cauldron. In this alchemy room, there were a total of 15 sets of materials for refining grade 5 spirit pills. Among these 15 sets of materials, 10 were used to refine the mysterious life and death pill. Tang Ao was using the last set this time. He threw all the spirit herbs into the Shennong cauldron and controlled the flame to refine the essence of the spirit herbs before fusing them. Tang Ao's hand shot out several pill hand seals, and the essence of the 21 spirit herbs gradually merged together. After the essence of the spirit herbs fused, the embryonic form of the spirit pills slowly appeared. After the embryonic form of the spirit pills appeared, Tang Ao made a few hand seals and began to condense them. 3 jade-white spirit pills slowly rotated in the Shinnon cauldron, and Tang Ao closed his eyes. After Tang Ao closed his eyes, Tang Ao's soul power became more acute. Then, Tang Ao clearly sensed that the 3 spirit pills were still lacking something that was drifting in the surrounding space. With a thought, Tang Ao used his soul power to guide these things and slowly injected them into the 3 spirit pills. With the infusion of these auras, the rotation speed of the 3 life and death mysterious cores gradually increased. Not long after, Tang Ao opened his eyes. With a wave of his hand, 3 life and death profound pills flew out of the Shinnon cauldron and fell into a jade bottle that Tang Ao had prepared. Looking at the 3 plump elixirs in the jade bottle, Tang Ao understood that the thing that the mysterious life and death pill lacked was the spiritual aura of the world's rules. These 3 life and death pills were jade white in color, and the spiritual aura around them surged. Even though Tang Ao had never seen a special grade life and death pill before, Tang Ao knew from the inheritance jade scroll that he was refining a special grade life and death pill. Tang Ao didn't expect that he would be able to refine a special grade 5 medicinal pill after succeeding in refining it several times in the past, but this time, he would directly refine a special grade medicinal pill. A special grade life and death pill could allow a martial artist who had completed the 9th floor of Linghai Jing to break through to the life and death realm with 100% certainty. Tang Ao was currently at the 9th floor of Linghai Jing, and there was still a long way to go before he reached the 9th floor of Linghai Jing. However, Tang Ao believed that he would soon reach the 9th floor of Linghai Jing, and then he would be able to break through to the life and death realm in one go. After refining a batch of special grade life and death pills, Tang Ao started to refine another type of 5th grade spirit pill. This type of spirit pill was called the Spirit Restoring Pill, and it could recover the spiritual power of a Spirit Sea realm martial artist. There were only 4 sets of ingredients for the Spirit Restoring Pill. After failing once, Tang Ao finally succeeded in refining the other 4 batches of Spirit Restoring Pills. Among the 4 batches of Spirit Restoring Pills, 1 batch was low-grade Spirit Restoring Pills, and the other 3 batches were special-grade Spirit Restoring Pills. However, there were no more ingredients left in the alchemy room. Otherwise, Tang Ao really would have wanted to refine a few more batches of spirit pills. Although he didn't have the materials to refine a grade 5 spirit pill, Tang Ao knew that he was now a grade 5 spirit pill king. Chapter 711. After becoming a 5th grade pill king, with the accumulation of time, Tang Ao would naturally become a 6th grade pill king. Cultivators lacked many things, but time was the only thing they lacked. Once a martial artist reached the Sea of Souls realm, a few decades of closed-door training would pass. Just like when Tang Ao was at the astral reaching realm, a few millennia of closed-door training would pass. Cultivation knew no time. Although time was precious in the eyes of cultivators, the concept of time was somewhat vague. However, unlike other cultivators, Tang Ao really cared about time. Tang Ao estimated that if he still could not use the Shinnon grass to detoxify Su Ning in a month, then there would be no need for him to detoxify Su Ning. Even if Su Ning was frozen in the 10,000-year cold ice, Tang Ao knew that Su Ning could only hold on for a month at most. This meant that if Tang Ao wanted to save Su Ning, he would have to advance from a 5th grade pill king to a 6th grade pill king within a month. There were a total of 3 6th grade pill kings in the Black-Yellow continent. Among them, the fastest one had used 800 years to advance from a 5th grade pill king to a 6th grade pill king. For Tang Ao to advance from a 5th grade pill king to a 6th grade pill king within a month sounded like a joke. However, Tang Ao did not think that it was a joke. In fact, Tang Ao felt that it should not be that difficult. If it was before he received the inheritance jade scroll from the Shennong Emperor, no matter how heaven-defying Tang Ao was, he would not dare to say such a thing. However, now that Tang Ao had received the inheritance from the Shennong Emperor, Tang Ao felt that it was not something impossible. When it came to the gap between a 4th-grade pill master and a 5th-grade pill king, the Shennong Emperor did not leave behind too many descriptions. However, the Shennong Emperor had left a very detailed record on how a 5th-grade pill king became a 6th-grade pill king. At this time, Tang Ao also understood that the gap between a 4th-grade pill master and a 5th-grade pill king was a gap that every inheritor had to cross. If he could not cross this gap, then he would not be qualified to receive the inheritance from the Shennong Emperor. Fortunately, Tang Ao had a good comprehension and understood the intention of the Shennong Emperor. Therefore, he did not spend time wondering why the Shennong Emperor did not write clearly on how a 4th-grade pill master became a 5th-grade pill king. Instead, he crossed the gap of a 5th-grade pill king through his own hard work. After understanding this, Tang Ao could even guess that the Shennong Emperor would also not write clearly on how a Tier 8 pill king could advance to a Tier 9 pill emperor. Instead, he would let the inheritor comprehend it on his own. In reality, Tang Ao's guess was very accurate. The Shennong Emperor also thought the same way. The Tao of alchemy was as vast as the Tao of martial arts. The Tao of martial arts required the cultivator to continuously train and comprehend. The Tao of alchemy was the same. Therefore, when a 4th-grade pill master advanced to a 5th-grade pill king, the Shennong Emperor did not leave behind any inheritance. And when a Tier 8 pill king advanced to a Tier 9 pill emperor, the Shennong Emperor also did not leave behind any inheritance. But once he crossed the shackles of a Tier 8 pill king, the Tier 9 pill emperor's inheritance was passed down by the Shennong Emperor without reservation. Other than the Tier 9 pill emperor's inheritance, the Tier 6 pill king's inheritance that Tang Ao urgently needed was also very complete. After Tang Ao absorbed a bit of the Shennong Emperor's Tier 6 pill king's inheritance, Tang Ao had a misconception. That was that even though he had not started concocting Tier 6 pills, Tang Ao felt that he could concoct Tier 6 pills. Chapter 7:12. The pill that Tang Ao had made this time was called the Burning Blood Life Breaking Pill. This Burning Blood Life Shortening Pill was a very special pill. It was meant for life and death realm martial artists. However, most life and death realm martial artists would never use this pill in their lifetime. Even if they might not use it in their lifetime, almost all life and death realm warriors would carry one with them. Actually, the Burning Blood Life Breaking Pill did not have to be used by life and death realm warriors. Therefore, a lot of Sea of Souls realm warriors would also carry them. The Burning Blood Life Breaking Pill only had one effect, and also one side effect. The effect of the Burning Blood Life Breaking Pill was to stimulate all the potential in the warrior's body within 30 breaths. Burning blood essence, soul, and lifespan, it would increase the warrior's power drastically in a short period of time. Of course, this kind of increase in power did not come without a price. The price was the only side effect of the Burning Blood Life Breaking Pill, which was death. Even if the side effect of the Burning Blood Life Breaking Pill was to pay with one's life, it could still help the warrior do a lot of things in many situations. For example, when a warrior was being chased by an enemy and could not escape, even if he could not kill the enemy, he could still make the enemy pay. Moreover, most of the time, as long as the opportunity was found, it would not be a problem to kill the enemy. The Burning Blood Life Breaking Pill was also divided into low, mid, high, and special ranks. A special rank Burning Blood Life Breaking Pill was not much weaker than a rank 7 pill. Even a first-level life and death realm warrior would be able to reach the 5th level in 30 breaths after taking a special rank Burning Blood Life Breaking Pill. If it were a 6th-level life and death realm warrior, Their power could even reach the half-step astral reaching realm after taking a special rank burning blood life-breaking pill. 30 breaths of time might not be enough for a body-refining realm warrior, but for a half-step astral reaching realm warrior, as long as they had some tricks up their sleeves, it would not be a problem for them to destroy a small city. There was once a 9th-level life and death realm warrior, who had taken a special rank burning blood life-breaking pill and reached the astral reaching realm. Although that warrior had fallen, his rival martial school had been uprooted by him. Hence, even though the blood-burning life-shortening pill required one to pay the price of one's life, there were still many martial artists who flocked to the blood-burning life-shortening pill. Furthermore, the higher the quality of the blood-burning longevity pill, the higher its value. Although the burning blood life-reducing pellet was only a rank 6 pellet, some astral-reaching realm warriors would still be tempted. Although some forbidden secret techniques could achieve the same effects as the blood-burning life-shortening pill, the blood-burning life-shortening pill was something that anyone could buy. However, those forbidden secret techniques weren't something that ordinary people could get their hands on. Even Tang Ao didn't know such a secret technique. Although Tang Ao knew a secret technique to burn his essence blood, a pill that burned his essence blood, lifespan, and even his soul was still shocking to Tang Ao even though he was the reincarnation of a demon lord. However, Tang Ao was currently immersed in the inheritance jade slip of the Shennong Emperor. He simply did not know that he had unconsciously begun to refine such a terrifying pill. Moreover, with Tang Ao's current refining speed, this furnace of pellets would most likely succeed for Tang Ao. However, the inheritance jade slip of the Shennong Emperor was simply too vast and boundless. For a moment, Tang Ao was completely immersed in it, unable to extricate himself. Chapter 713. This ball of golden medicinal essence was the medicinal essence required to concoct the blood-burning life-shortening pill. After purifying this medicinal essence, Tang Ao could already start congealing the pill. Under Tang Ao's unconscious purification, this ball of medicinal essence was basically free of any impurities. Even if the Shennong Emperor was here, he wouldn't be able to do much better than Tang Ao. However, Tang Ao's face revealed a never-before-seen seriousness. Even though Tang Ao's consciousness was completely immersed in the Shennong Emperor's Pill Dao Jade letter, Tang Ao's expression was still very serious. Tang Ao was a straightforward and carefree person. Even though he had reincarnated twice, it was rare for him to be like this. Tang Ao's current doubt was that Tang Ao faintly felt that something was missing from the Shennong Cauldron's medicinal essence. It was precisely because of this missing item that the blood-burning life-shortening pill would reap the lives of the cultivators who consumed it. Tang Ao felt that only by adding this item into the blood-burning life-shortening pill, the cultivators who consumed the blood-burning life-shortening pill wouldn't die. Even though the cultivators' spirit channels would rupture, their dantian would collapse, and their cultivation would be crippled, they would still be able to preserve their lives. As long as they could preserve their lives, it wouldn't be difficult for a portion of the cultivators to repair their dantian and meridians. It was just that the Shennong Emperor didn't mention what was missing from the blood-burning life-shortening pill. In fact, in the Shennong Emperor's Tier 6 Pill King legacy, the Shennong Emperor only provided a pill formula for the blood-burning life-shortening pill. Besides the blood-burning life-shortening pill, the Shennong Emperor not only listed out the things to take note of, the concoction methods, and even deduced many pill formulas that he hadn't tried before. However, this blood-burning life-shortening pill was an extremely special pill. Despite being a Pill Dao master, the Shennong Emperor didn't seem to have studied this pill before. Besides a pill formula, the Shennong Emperor only left 2 words: use with caution. Xia Qianyu was intercepted by Murong Xiao on an ice plaza in the underground snowfield. Last time, Murong Xiao and the others had ambushed Bai Feng from the Heavenly Sun continent. Although Bai Feng had died in the end, Bai Feng had indeed self-destructed. Due to Bai Feng's self-detonation, Fang Hongjian, who was closest to Bai Feng, was blown to death. Murong Xiao and the others saw the opportunity and escaped in advance, so they only suffered light injuries of varying degrees. After Bai Feng self-destructed, Yen Yen left with Wenqim and the others. This was because Yen Yen knew that Murong Xiao was already a life and death realm martial artist. If Murong Xiao used his full strength, Murong Xiao would at most be injured. However, Murong Xiao cherished his reputation. This resulted in Fang Hongjian's death. Fang Hongjian and Yen Yen did not have much of a relationship, but Feng Ling's younger sister, Feng Xian, and many of Feng Ling's followers had died. Most of those people had just broken through to the Spirit Sea realm. They had died without knowing why before they could enjoy the joy of breaking through to the Spirit Sea realm. Therefore, Yen Yen decided to leave. Even if he died at the hands of Heavenly Sun Continent's martial artists, Yen Yen did not want to cooperate with Murong Xiao anymore. After Yen Yen left, Murong Xiao had the rest of the people return to the underground snow cave to watch, while he himself went after Xia Qinyu. "Tell me, where did Tang Ao go?" Murong Xiao's expression was very cold. Tang Ao and Xia Qinyu were not together, so it was very likely that Tang Ao had taken away the mysterious clear mirror and the 9th grade divine weapon. In this way, even if he found Xia Qinyu, he would not be able to obtain the mysterious clear mirror and the 9th grade divine weapon. In Murong Xiao's opinion, Tang Ao would definitely do the same. Chapter 714. Murong Xiao was overjoyed when he saw Xia Qinyu's mystic clear mirror. Mystic clear mirror, mystic clear mirror. Although he had seen the mystic clear mirror before, he had never been as excited as he was now. Murong Xiao had thought that Tang Ao would have taken the mystic clear mirror away with him based on his craftiness. Otherwise, he would not have left Xia Qinyu alone in the snow underground. However, what Murong Xiao could not understand was why Tang Ao did not touch the mystic clear mirror in Xia Qinyu's hands when he left. Previously, when Murong Xiao had seen the mystic clear mirror, both Yen Yen and Fang Hongjian were no weaker than him. Murong Xiao was also very wary of Tang Ao, who was with Xia Qinyu. Now, Murong Xiao and Xia Qinyu were the only two people in the entire snow and ice plaza. Tang Ao was not with Xia Qinyu. He did not know where he had gone to. Fang Hongjian had been killed by Bai Feng's self-destruction and Yen Yen had left this place not too long ago. Therefore, although the mystic clear mirror was not in Murong Xiao's hands yet, it was already his. Murong Xiao was not in a hurry to make a move. Instead, he asked again, "Junior sister Xia, where did Tang Ao go? Weren't you two together?" Murong Xiao wanted the mystic clear mirror in Xia Qinyu's possession. Murong Xiao desired Tang Ao's 9th grade magic weapon even more. A 9th grade magic weapon was a legendary existence. As long as one could obtain a 9th grade magic weapon, even a good-for-nothing could stand at the peak of martial arts. Murong Xiao was clearly not a good-for-nothing. As for whether Tang Ao's strength would skyrocket after obtaining the 9th grade magic weapon and use it to hurt him, Murong Xiao had never considered this question. The Murong family was probably more familiar with 9th grade magic weapons than any other forces in the Black-Yellow continent. This was because a long time ago, the Murong family had a broken 9th grade divine weapon, the Heaven and Earth Scroll. Therefore, Murong Xiao knew that one had to at least reach the life and death realm to refine a grade 9 divine weapon. Therefore, even if Tang Ao obtained a 9th grade divine weapon, he would definitely not be able to use it. However, what Murong Xiao did not know was that Tang Ao's rank 9 weapon had already refined 300 restrictions. It was not that Murong Xiao's knowledge was shallow, but the fact that Tang Ao could increase his soul power to the life and death realm at the Sea of Souls realm was just too shocking. Feeling the powerful aura of Murong Xiao, Xia Qinyu knew that she was no match for Murong Xiao even with the help of the Supreme Purity Mystic Mirror. Therefore, Xia Qinyu decided to find an opportunity to lure Murong Xiao away, not giving Murong Xiao a chance to find Tang Ao. However, Xia Qinyu soon realized that her idea was too naive. While Xia Qinyu was still in a daze, a tattered ancient scroll with the words, "Heaven and Earth," on it flew over and wrapped Xia Qinyu up. After being wrapped up by the Heaven and Earth scroll, Xia Qinyu's vision went black, and she lost consciousness. Inside the Shennong Emperor's palace, Tang Ao was still refining the burning blood life shortening pill. At this moment, the medicinal essence of the burning blood life shortening pill had been refined by Tang Ao to an incomparably pure state. If the medicinal essence refined by Tang Ao was only close to the one refined by the Shennong Emperor, then the medicinal essence floating in the Shennong cauldron was already comparable to the one refined by the Shennong Emperor. Chapter 7:15. If Tang Ao were to use this blob of medicinal liquid essence to condense the pill, Tang Ao's cauldron of blood-burning life-shortening pills would definitely be the best of the best. Even if the Shennong Emperor was reborn, he wouldn't be able to do better than Tang Ao. Of course, if the Shennong Emperor wanted to achieve this, he would only need half a cup of tea's time. However, Tang Ao took half a month to refine it. However, this was already very good. Even if the 3 remaining Tier 6 Elixir Kings in the Black-Yellow Continent were to refine the blood-burning life-shortening pills, no matter how long they were given, they definitely wouldn't be able to reach Tang Ao's current standard. However, what was puzzling was that Tang Ao was refining the medicinal liquid essence with a solemn expression instead of condensing the pills. If there was a Tier 6 Elixir King beside Tang Ao, this Tier 6 Elixir King might not be able to resist and help Tang Ao condense the pills. This was because as time passed, the impurities in the medicinal liquid essence could be slowly removed. However, as the impurities were removed, the medicinal properties of the medicinal liquid essence would also be lost. Some special pills had to be refined extremely quickly. If Tang Ao were to refine for half a month like this, some special pills might have already lost their medicinal properties. After another day, the solemn Tang Ao suddenly opened his eyes. He had finally walked out of the Shennong Emperor's Elixir Dao inheritance. After opening his eyes, Tang Ao looked at the golden medicinal liquid floating in front of him in disbelief. Very soon, Tang Ao understood what had happened. At the same time, he also knew the reason why he was stuck in the Shennong Emperor's Elixir Dao Jade Slip. The reason why Tang Ao was stuck in the Shennong Emperor's Elixir Dao Jade Slip was because of this golden medicinal liquid in front of him. Even though Tang Ao had shot out several core condensation arts, Tang Ao still had some regrets in his heart. Tang Ao had always felt that this medicinal liquid was still missing a medicinal herb that could neutralize the medicinal properties. However, Tang Ao had looked through the Shennong Emperor's Alchemy Jade Scroll, and he still couldn't understand what this golden medicinal liquid was missing. The side effect of the blood ignition longevity reduction pill was that the martial artist who consumed it would definitely die. Therefore, among all the martial artists in the Black-Yellow Continent, the martial artists who had died because of the burning blood life-shortening pill accounted for at least a quarter or even a third of all the martial artists who had perished. This was an extremely terrifying matter. If Tang Ao knew what medicinal ingredients were missing from the blood-burning longevity-shortening pill, then Tang Ao could save a quarter or even a third of the martial artists from dying. Although most of the cultivators who consumed the blood-burning life-shortening pill only had themselves to blame, there was still a portion of cultivators who were forced to do so. Tang Ao wasn't the first to discover that the blood-burning life-shortening pill was missing a medicinal ingredient. To be precise, Tang Ao was the third. The first to discover that the blood-burning life-shortening pill was the creator of the blood-burning life-shortening pill, the Shenong Emperor. After the Shenong Emperor created the blood-burning life-shortening pill, he discovered that the blood-burning life-shortening pill was missing a medicinal ingredient. Moreover, with the Shenong Emperor's elixir Dao attainments, the Shenong Emperor naturally knew what the blood-burning life-shortening pill was missing. The second to discover that the blood-burning life-shortening pill was the Heavenly Star Sacred Sex Grand Elder, Hengzhen. Although Hengzhen didn't know which medicinal ingredient was missing from the blood-burning life-shortening pill, Hengzhen had modified the blood-burning life-shortening pill's pill recipe 361 times. Chapter 7:16. Tang Ao didn't feel any sense of accomplishment as he watched the blood-burning lifespan-shortening pills taking shape in the Shenong cauldron. Instead, he felt a sense of defeat. After obtaining the Shenong Emperor's Alchemy Dao legacy, he became a Tier 6 Alchemy King in less than 2 months. This was definitely something to be proud of. However, Tang Ao couldn't bring himself to be proud of it now. As Tang Ao's last alchemy technique landed, 6 crystal-clear, pale gold pills landed in a jade bottle at the side. The moment the pills landed in the jade bottle, the entire alchemy room shook as though it was about to collapse. Tang Ao knew that this wasn't an illusion that was about to collapse. Instead, the alchemy room was really about to collapse. Not long ago, the Shenong Emperor's cultivation room had collapsed in this manner. Hence, Tang Ao didn't have time to think too much about it. He swept all the remaining spiritual herbs in the alchemy room into his storage ring. Then, Tang Ao wanted to keep the Shenong cauldron as well. However, Tang Ao was helpless. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't keep the Shenong cauldron in his storage ring. Seeing this situation, Tang Ao had a headache. Moreover, Tang Ao also knew the reason. The laws in his storage ring were too low. He couldn't store a treasure like the Shenong cauldron. Previously, Tang Ao's primordial sacred sky Bao had a similar problem. However, after Tang Ao refined 300 layers of restrictions, the primordial sacred sky Bao could be kept in Tang Ao's spiritual sea. However, although the Shenong Emperor Tang Ao had refined a layer of restrictions, Tang Ao couldn't keep it in his spiritual sea. Fortunately, a teleportation array appeared under the alchemy room. Without any hesitation, Tang Ao grabbed Tang Yu and stepped into the teleportation array with the Shenong cauldron in one hand. The moment Tang Ao stepped into the teleportation array, the entire alchemy room collapsed. Moreover, this kind of collapse was different from the collapse of an ordinary house. This kind of collapse caused the entire space where the refining room was located to shatter and disappear. Even when Tang Ao was at the peak of astral reaching realm, he didn't have the ability to survive under such a spatial collapse. Tang Ao was only at the peak of the 9th floor of Linghai Jing, so there was no need to even think about it. Moreover, Tang Ao also knew that with the collapse of the cultivation room and alchemy room, the Shenong Emperor Palace would not be able to hold on for long. Although the Shenong Emperor had said that the Emperor Yulong had been killed under the Shenong Emperor Palace, Tang Ao knew that the place he was going to wasn't under the Shenong Emperor Palace, but somewhere extremely far away. This was not the first time that Tang Ao had used a teleportation array. Be it his previous life or this life, Tang Ao was no stranger to teleportation arrays. However, this was the first time that Tang Ao had used a teleportation array for 4 hours without landing. If it weren't for the faint chill in front of him that was getting clearer and clearer, Tang Ao would have suspected that this teleportation array would continue to teleport him down. Boom! After Tang Ao came out of the teleportation array, he immediately fell heavily onto the ground. The Shenong cauldron in Tang Ao's hand had been flung far away, shattering many of the ice trees on the ice surface. Indeed, Tang Ao was currently standing on a piece of ice, and this ice surface was unbelievably sturdy. Even when Tang Ao flew out of the teleportation array and fell heavily onto the ice surface, there wasn't even a trace of his fall. Just as Tang Ao was wondering where this place was, a cold voice with a hint of surprise rang in Tang Ao's ears. You came at the right time. If you were a bit later, this emperor would have followed in the footsteps of Shenong Old Man. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.